The true young master was literally raising pigs in the countryside. Having just been welcomed back to the wealthy family after 20 years, he was already thoroughly despised by his biological parents. And so, I immediately decided to trade them in for a new set of parents. I marched straight up to my eldest uncle and aunt, who happened to be delightfully childless, and said, "Uncle, Auntie, I want to adopt you two as my parents. Is that okay?" The moment those words left my mouth, my aunt was overwhelmed with joy and absolute disbelief. Meanwhile, my biological mother standing nearby instantly panicked like a cat in a bathtub. All because on the day I came home, my parents and sister not only failed to come out to greet me, but they were busy at home coddling the fragile emotions of their adopted son. Looking at the family on the sofa with their faces full of utter disgust, I let out a snort, turned to my aunt, the one who had actually picked me up, and asked, "Auntie, are they really my biological parents?" My aunt steadied herself and nodded. "That's right, what's the matter?" I laughed coldly. "I am clearly their biological son, but why do I feel like they are looking at me with faces full of pure disgust?" All four people in the room changed their expressions. They clearly didn't expect me to be so brutally blunt. After seeing my aunt off, my biological mother finally managed to peel herself off the sofa, putting on a painfully fake display of heartbreak. "Oh, my child, you must have suffered so much out there." I skillfully dodged so she couldn't touch me and said, "Drop the act. There isn't an ounce of heartbreak in your eyes." Beatrix, my biological mother, stood there awkwardly, but a fire of anger flared up in her heart. As expected of a child not raised by my side, absolutely zero manners, she probably thought. She forced a stiff smile. "I've already prepared your room. Come, let Mom show you your room." Saying that, she tried to grab my hand again. I dodged once more and mocked. "Oh, so preparing a room was more important than personally coming out to greet your son." Beatrix missed my hand again, a flash of annoyance crossing her eyes. I said lightly, "No need to see the room. I might not even stay here anyway." Saying that, I pointed at Asher, who was about my age, and asked, "Who is he?" Asher froze upon being called out, his eyes instantly turning completely red. His little hands gently tugged at the sleeve of the second sister standing next to him. The second sister, Seraphina, lowered her voice softly. "Asher, don't be afraid." Then she turned to look at me coldly. "I am your sister, Seraphina Vance, and this is my little brother, Asher Vance." She deliberately emphasized the words, "my little brother." I let out an "oh" full of hidden meaning. "He is your little brother, so that means he is the very kid who was switched with me." Asher's hands trembled, his eyes red like he was about to burst into tears. Hearing this, the second sister's face turned downright ugly. She intentionally raised her voice. "In my heart, Asher is my biological brother." I laughed coldly. "Treating him as your biological brother? You really are quite stupid." These words left everyone stunned. Seraphina looked at me in shock. "You dare call me stupid?" I sneered. "Yes, did I curse incorrectly? Don't tell me you don't know it was his biological mother who secretly switched me with him?" At this moment, Asher's lips trembled, and tears uncontrollably rolled down his face. Seraphina tightly grasped his hand to comfort him. "Asher, it's not your fault." Then she turned to me. "Yes, Asher's mother switched you with him, but Asher is innocent. He didn't know anything." I burst out laughing, my eyes full of ridicule. "Innocent, really? Innocent enough to enjoy 20 years of my luxurious life, while I, the true young master, was thrown into a trash can in the middle of freezing winter by his vicious mother. If I hadn't been picked up by someone, I would have died the moment I was born." My words silenced Seraphina. A fleeting hint of guilt actually crossed her mind. At this time, Asher sobbed and apologized. "It's all my fault. It's all because I have a mother like that. Brother, if you hate me, just beat me or scold me, but please don't blame second sister." Saying that, he tried to wrench his hand free from Seraphina, biting his lip and rushing towards me with a face that looked entirely ready to bear the punishment of the world. Seraphina panicked and hurriedly chased after him, pulling him back just before he could kneel down. "Asher, what are you doing? I told you, it's not your fault. It's your mother's fault." Watching this scene, I laughed again, clapping my hands like I was watching a highly entertaining soap opera. "Fascinating. Are you guys putting on a misery play just for me?" Seeing me completely unmoved, the tiny bit of guilt that had just flickered in Seraphina's heart vanished. She helped Asher up and glared at me coldly. "How can you be so cold-blooded?" Asher sincerely apologized, "Yet you still mock him." "Not only am I mocking him," I smiled coldly, "I am mocking all of you," I continued. "He has a vicious mother who thought only of him, doing everything she could to switch us so he could steal 20 beautiful years of my life. And me? The true young master returns, and you people, my parents and my sister, openly defend him right in front of my face. Being stuck with a family like yours, I consider myself astronomically unlucky." Seraphina's face grew even uglier. At this point, Beatrix turned to look at her husband, completely helpless against this stubborn biological son. She truly had no solutions. Whether logically or emotionally, Beatrix found it impossible to like this child. Then, my biological father, Reginald, who hadn't spoken a word until now, opened his mouth. "All right, Sterling. Asher's mother has already been punished by the law. Now he is lonely and has no one to rely on. Your mother and I have raised him for 20 years after all. We can't just kick him out. The Vance family is wealthy. Keeping him just means adding an extra pair of chopsticks. It won't affect you being the true young master in the future. But I was not buying that nonsense. If it's just adding an extra pair of chopsticks, why not send him somewhere else? Why insist on keeping him around so that every time I see his face I am reminded of the miserable life I lived after being switched? Reginald didn't expect that even after he spoke up I would still refuse to listen. Much like Beatrix, Reginald grew increasingly disgusted with this biological son. Compared to the obedient and sensible Asher, this biological son was simply too uneducated. At this moment, Asher bit his lip, tears silently falling. He wore a stubborn expression, crying without making a sound, looking absolutely pathetic. Seeing me constantly pressing the issue, Serafina couldn't hold back and exploded. "Are you saying you absolutely have to kick Asher out today? Is that it?" I nodded. "Exactly. In this house, there is either me or him." These words caused the faces of all four people to hit rock bottom. Asher, teary-eyed and full of grievance, said, "Dad, Mom's second sister, I don't want to leave you." Serafina gripped his hand tightly. "Asher, don't worry. You aren't going anywhere. As long as I am alive, I will never let you leave the Vance family. You will forever be my little brother, the young master of the Vance family." Hearing this, I raised an eyebrow. "He's not leaving? So that means you want me to leave." At this moment, the dissatisfaction in Beatrix's heart had nearly peaked. She bluntly spoke her mind. "If you want to smoothly return to the Vanson family and live peacefully as a wealthy young master, without a care in the world for the rest of your life, then obediently swallow your anger. Accept the reality that Asher will continue to stay in the Vance family as a young master. Otherwise, we can only give up on you." Before I could even reply, a heartbroken voice came from the doorway. It was my eldest aunt, Alara. "Are you, my sister-in-law, truly this heartless? You don't even want your own biological son?" I froze and turned around to see my eldest uncle and aunt walking in. Alara looked at me with eyes full of pity. I really couldn't put my mind at ease, so I decided to come back and check on the situation. I didn't expect. Serafina looked at the returning aunt and said defensively, "Auntie, it's not that we don't want him, it's that he wants to leave." Alara couldn't hold back. "You people insist on keeping the child of the person who caused him to wander outside for 20 years. How could he not be heartbroken?" Hearing this, a flash of resentment passed through Asher's eyes as he looked at Alara. "This old hag talks too much. No wonder she can't have kids. Serves her right." But the moment he noticed eldest Uncle Alaric's gaze landing on him, Asher immediately restrained his emotions and withdrew his gaze. Feeling my aunt's defense, my heart felt warm. "Auntie, don't waste your breath on them. A family like theirs, I don't even want them. They don't want me to stay, and I don't need them either." Alara's eyes reddened as she reached out to rub my cheek. "You poor child. How about you just endure it a little and let Asher stay?" I shook my head. "No, if they want me to stay, I absolutely will not allow the enemy's child to stay here for even one more day." Right at this moment, the deep, resonant voice of an elder echoed from the door. "My precious grandson has finally been brought home." An old man leaning on a cane, supported by the head butler, walked in. I turned to look from the doorway. This must be Grandpa Vance, my grandfather. Seeing this, Reginald immediately dropped his authoritative act, hastily standing up to support the old man. But Grandpa Vance swatted his hand away. "I don't need a foolish man like you supporting me. You don't even want your own biological son, yet you insist on raising your enemy's child. I'm starting to suspect if that boy is your illegitimate son." Reginald looked incredibly awkward. Dad, don't talk nonsense. We already did a DNA test. Asher doesn't have a drop of my blood. It's just that we've lived with him for 20 years, so we naturally have some feelings." "Idiot," Grandpa Vance scolded. "If he was an adopted child you picked off the street, that would be one thing. But he is the kid whose mother swapped him with your own flesh and blood. I think all of your brains have been kicked by a donkey." Grandpa Vance walked up to me and carefully observed my face. Just as the head butler had reported, even after wandering outside for 20 years, this grandson was still confident and radiant, showing not a hint of timidity upon returning to a wealthy household. He patted my shoulder. "Precious grandson, I am your grandpa. Your father is a fool, but I am not. If he doesn't claim you, I will." I smiled. "Grandpa, if it weren't for you, Uncle, and Auntie being so clear-headed, I would really doubt how the Vance family managed to become a top-tier wealthy family when the rest of the household is this foolish." Reginald, being directly mocked, turned green in the face. Grandpa Vance laughed heartily. "Sterling, rest assured. Today I will definitely get justice for you. Even if I have to kick all of them out, I won't let you leave the Vance family." Hearing this, Serafina felt dissatisfied, but the moment she opened her mouth, she was cut off by Grandpa. "You shut your mouth! The one who deserves to be kicked out the most is you. Back then, how did the swap even happen? Wasn't it because of your stupidity? How about we let you taste what it's like to suffer outside, and then bring you back to face the exact same situation your biological brother is in now? I'd love to see if you'd still be this foolish then." These words rendered Serafina utterly speechless. Grandpa Vance turned to his second son and daughter-in-law, continuing, "And you two, what's this nonsense about living together for 20 years and having feelings? I haven't even blamed you yet for using the Vance family's money to raise a criminal's child, yet you've managed to cultivate feelings deeper than for your own flesh and blood. You even want to chase away my grandson for the sake of a criminal's son. Let me tell you, if my precious grandson leaves, your entire family can get the hell out. Faced with Grandpa Vance's ironclad stance, Beatrix wanted to speak but stopped herself. Reginald didn't dare utter a word of rebuttal. Serafina clenched her fists, staring at me with eyes full of sheer resentment. Noticing this, I casually put my hand behind my back and flipped her the middle finger, silently mouthing, "Idiot." At this moment, Beatrix asked awkwardly, "Then what about Asher?" Grandpa Vance warned, "If you want to keep him, keep him. But from now on, don't you dare let him touch a single penny of my grandson's money." Finishing his piece, he turned to me. "Sterling, you stay. Don't mind your parents, your sister, or their adopted kid. From now on, the Vance family is your home." An idea suddenly popped into my head. "Grandpa, I don't want to accept them as my parents. Since I have Vance family blood in me anyway, how about I adopt uncle and auntie as my parents instead? What do you think?" These words left the entire room utterly stunned. Alara went from shock to absolutely overjoyed. "Sterling, what did you just say?" I repeated. "Auntie, I want to adopt you and uncle as my parents, can I?" Reginald finally reacted. No longer caring about how much he disliked me, he yelled, "Stop messing around in front of Grandpa, refusing your biological parents to go and acknowledge your eldest uncle as your father. Where do you put my dignity? Moreover, my older brother and sister-in-law don't have children. The Vance family's assets will definitely belong to their branch in the future." Ah, so he was worried that if I actually acknowledged them as my parents, it would mess up how Grandpa divided the inheritance. I said seriously, "I'm not messing around." Serafina laughed mockingly. "Talking big, but aren't you just reluctant to give up the title of the Vance family's young master? You even came up with this scheme of making uncle and auntie your parents," I replied. "You're the one who's hilarious." "What do you mean reluctant to give up the title? I am the true young master of the Vance family by default. The person you're describing is actually Asher. Clearly not the young master, yet clinging on for dear life and refusing to leave." Hearing me say this, although Asher wasn't happy, he was secretly smug inside. To him, this was a win-win situation. First, it guaranteed he could stay in the Vance family. Second, if I remained the young master, he had the perfect opportunity to push me to marry the eldest daughter of the Astor family, the one who was crippled. Grandpa Vance hadn't expected me to pitch this idea. After a moment of surprise, he thought about it and said, "It's not impossible, but we have to see if your uncle and auntie agree." Alara was obviously 100% on board. She had always dreamed of having a child. Alaric, looking at his wife's excited face, had already made up his mind to agree. But Beatrix was the first to object. "No way. Sterling is my biological son, whom I carried for 10 months. How can we let him acknowledge his uncle and aunt as his parents?" Asher, who had just breathed a sigh of relief thinking he could stay, heard Beatrix's words and a flash of panic crossed his eyes. But he quickly regained his composure, realizing that even though his mother had feelings for him, he still wasn't her biological son by blood, which could be a hidden danger in the future. I mocked, "Why not? Asher has no blood relation to you people either. Yet you still protect him, raise him, and let him call you mom and dad." Beatrix was choked on her words. It took her a while to reply, "That's different. Asher has lived with us for 20 years. We have a bond." I couldn't care less. I looked seriously at Alara. "Auntie, are you and uncle willing to be my parents?" Alara trembled as she looked at her husband for his opinion. Alaric nodded. "Alara, I know you've always wanted a child. Now we finally have our own son." Seeing her husband agree, Alara immediately hugged me tightly, overwhelmed with joy. "My good boy, I will be your mother from now on. You are my precious son." Beatrix panicked. "Sister-in-law, how can you do this?" She could despise her biological son, but she couldn't stand the thought of her biological son calling someone else mom. I naturally called out mom. Hearing this, Alara's heart swelled with happiness. But to Beatrix, it sounded incredibly grating. "Sterling, stop throwing a tantrum. I am your real mother." I pulled out of Alara's embrace and looked coldly at Beatrix. "Second aunt, don't call me out of turn. Your son is Asher." Beatrix's eyes widened in disbelief. "I am your mother, not your second aunt." She tried to step forward and pull me back, but Grandpa Vance struck his cane against the floor. "Enough. It's too late for regrets now. I am making the call today. From now on, my precious grandson will be registered under the names of my eldest son and daughter-in-law. You brought this upon yourselves by refusing to accept your own flesh and blood." Beatrix felt incredibly wronged. She never expected this biological son to be so unyielding. Just over a few harsh words, he actually turned around and called her sister-in-law mom to show his absolute determination. To seal the deal, I took my ID card and household registration book from my canvas bag and handed them to Grandpa. "Sorry to trouble you, Grandpa. Please help me transfer my household registration to Uncle and Auntie's family quickly." Grandpa Vance took the documents and agreed. On the stone path leading back to the East Villa, Alara was still buzzing with excitement. Her mind was completely occupied with the fact that she was now a mother. Alaric, seeing his wife so excited she almost tripped, quickly supported her, his eyes full of doting affection. "Careful now, don't let Sterling laugh at us." Alara snapped out of it and calmed down, but she still looked at me nervously. "Sterling, there's no one else here. Tell us the truth. You saying you wanted us to be your parents, you weren't just doing it out of spite, were you?" I didn't expect this decision to make my aunt so nervous. My heart grew even more resolute. Of course not out of spite. I genuinely like you. From now on, you two are my parents. Alara breathed a huge sigh of relief and smiled brightly. Sterling, from now on, you are our true son. No one is allowed to take you away from us. Following Alara and Alaric back to the East Villa, Alara held my hand and said eagerly, Sterling, come, let Mom show you your room. My room? I was surprised. How did you set it up so fast? Alaric smiled and explained, your mother has always wanted a son, so a room was prepared in this house a long time ago. Hearing this, I felt both amused and deeply touched. A warm feeling surged in my heart. How should I put this? This could be considered a mutual two-way rescue. I followed Alara up to the 3rd floor. Pushing the door open, I was instantly stunned by the sight before me. The room was entirely decorated in a teenage boys style, heavily featuring sci-fi themes and mecha models. But is this style a bit too sci-fi? It might not quite fit your age now, Alara mused. If you don't like it, Mom will have people clear it all out tomorrow and redecorate it however you want. I shook my head. No need, just leave it like this. It's just a place to sleep anyway, it's not a big deal. Alara smiled with satisfaction. You rest in the room for a bit. Mom will tell someone to bring your luggage up. After Alara left, I closed the door and laid down on this intensely sci-fi bed. My phone buzzed. I rolled over and took it out to check. It turned out to be a text from my ex-girlfriend, Priscilla. It was a message attached to a photo of a luxury mansion. She wrote, Sterling, see this? This is my new home. I am now the true eldest lady of the wealthy Priscilla family, living in this mansion. Envious? If you regret it and want to get back together, I might reluctantly agree. I replied with a deadpan, idiot, and promptly dragged Priscilla straight into my block list. Meanwhile, over at the West Villa, Beatrix sat heavily on the sofa, fuming with anger. Big brother and sister-in-law really don't put us in their eyes at all. They actually want to steal our biological son. Reginald sat nearby, his voice dark. No matter what, we absolutely cannot let our son acknowledge my older brother as his father. But Serafina didn't care. He's just trash anyway. If Uncle and Aunt want to pick him up, let them pick him up. Just treat it like they're recycling garbage. Saves us the headache of bringing him back, just to annoy us. Didn't you all see how he acted today? Relying on the Vance family bloodline to act all high and mighty with us. If we really took him in, who knows what else he'd do. Reginald looked at Serafina and Asher beside him saying, Serafina, Asher, you saw Grandpa's attitude today. Originally, the Vance family's assets would sooner or later belong to you two. But if our biological son really acknowledges Uncle and Auntie as his parents, then the future division of the Vance family's assets might not be so clear-cut. That's exactly why your mother and I opposed him acknowledging them. It's absolutely not because we don't love him, Asher nodded. Dad, I understand. Serafina still didn't care. How could Grandpa possibly divide the assets to him? Beatrix knew her daughter cared most about her little brother, so she said, even if it's not for the assets, you have to consider letting Asher avoid marrying the eldest lady of the Astor family. Do you really want Asher to marry a crippled woman? Hearing this, Serafina pursed her lips and said nothing. Beatrix continued, Mom is right. Even if you have to fake it, you need to put on a show for this biological brother of yours. Make him acknowledge you as his biological sister. Then we can make him take Asher's place and marry the Astor family's eldest lady, completing the arranged marriage between the two families. Reginald chimed in, exactly. Serafina stayed silent for a moment, then said, Dad, Mom, I know what to do. Asher returned to his room, grabbed his phone, walked to the window, and dialed a number. When the call connected, his usually weak and pitiful eyes instantly turned sharp and cold. Is it done? Where is the video I asked for? The voice on the other end was full of disappointment. Not yet. I haven't been able to contact the target since last night. Asher was furious. What? What kind of useless piece of trash did you hire? The other person was helpless. I didn't expect him to be so useless either. I was almost kicked out of the Vance family today. If I get exposed, don't even dream of getting a single penny from me. Asher calmed himself down and said coldly, It seems the person you hired ran into trouble. You go hide for a while. Don't let the investigation trace back to me. Hanging up the phone, Asher angrily threw it on the bed. Trash! Can't even handle a small matter. On the other side, Alara noticed Asher lingering suspiciously outside her door, looking hesitant and holding a few shopping bags of designer clothes. She was about to get up to check, but Alaric held her back. Let me go. I haven't forgotten the way he looked at you earlier. Alaric walked out and asked, Asher, what are you doing in front of my house? Asher stuttered. Uncle, I realized Brother Sterling just returned to the Vance family and I was worried he didn't have any clothes to wear, so I brought some of my brand new unworn clothes for him. Saying that, he lifted the bags. Uncle, can I come in? Alaric looked at him for a moment. Seeing nothing overtly suspicious, he said, Sure, come in. Thank you, Uncle. Where is Brother Sterling's room? 3rd floor, middle room. Alara watched Asher's retreating back with worry. Sterling doesn't like him. Maybe I should go up and keep an eye on things. Alaric replied, No need to worry. Let Sterling handle it himself. He's smart. He'll know how to deal with it. The door opened. Asher immediately presented the clothing bags to me. Brother Sterling, I was afraid you wouldn't have any clothes to change into since you just got back, so I specially brought some brand new clothes for you. I glanced at the bags and sneered. Since you already know I don't accept you, don't bother pretending to bring me clothes. Asher looked innocent. Brother Sterling, I sincerely want to get along with you. Why do you always have to go against me? It'll only hurt both of us. I smiled faintly. Who's getting hurt? You're definitely going to lose, you know that, right? Asher's face changed, not understanding where I got my confidence from. Sterling, although I don't want to fight, and I frankly couldn't care less about fighting with you, what makes you think you can beat me? Since we were kids, do you know how many resources Mom and Dad invested in me? Even the elite young masters in Kim City might not be able to beat me, let alone you, a guy who grew up in the countryside. He looked at me with full pity. Sterling, if I were you, I'd obediently acknowledge my parents and live comfortably for the rest of my life relying on the status of a Vance family young master. Why gamble your whole life away just over a bit of useless anger? I just let out a board. Oh, well, it seems the young masters and ladies in Kim City are nothing special. You can't even beat them. Asher was speechless. His eyes revealed a look of contempt. Sterling, you are truly overly confident. If that's the case, I'll wait and see. I'll see how you manage to kick me out of the Vance family and secure the position of the young master. After saying that, he hung the clothing bags on the door handle and turned to leave. He hadn't gone far when he heard a noise behind him. Turning around, he saw the bags of clothes I had tossed, scattering all over the floor. He pretended to feel regretful. Sterling, even if you hate me, you shouldn't waste my good intentions. After all, growing up, you've probably never worn luxury brand clothes like this, right? Hearing this, I stepped squarely on the clothes. Yeah, what's so special about these? I wouldn't even bother wearing them on a normal day. Saying that, I prepared to head downstairs. At this moment, Asher lowered his voice, just enough for me to hear. Sterling, do you think Mom and Dad would have brought you back to the Vance family if it weren't for me? I stopped and turned around. Done pretending? Asher looked smug. Do you know why Mom and Dad brought you back? I played along. Why? Because I don't want to marry the eldest lady of the Astor family. A cripple, Mom and Dad couldn't bear to see my future happiness ruined, so they brought you, the biological son, back to take my place. Tell me, aren't you just pathetic? After saying that, he even let out a dramatic, exaggerated sigh. I went, wow, such a good deal? Isn't the Astor family a top-tier wealthy family? Getting to marry the eldest lady of the Astor family is something I could only pray for. Seeing that I wasn't hurt in the slightest, Asher felt like he had punched a pile of cotton. No pain, no itch. It made him extremely uncomfortable. But he figured I was just acting tough. You don't know yet, do you? The eldest lady of the Astor family is now a cripple. I stepped closer and smiled. So what if she's a cripple? I can cure her legs. As for you, you despise her for being crippled and refuse to marry her. Later, when her legs are healed, don't you dare regret it. Then I abruptly changed my tone. Oh, by the way, that escaped convict last night. You bought him off, didn't you? Hearing the word convict, Asher's face lost its color, but he still pretended. What convict? I shook my head and sighed dramatically. Be careful out there. The gift you gave me last night, I will slowly return it to you. After saying that, I whistled and walked downstairs with a light step. Asher clenched his fists tightly, staring at my arrogant back, his eyes growing even more malicious. After a while, he turned around, picked up the clothes that had been trampled on the floor and went downstairs. At this time, Alara was holding a tablet, looking up and calling me. Sterling, come take a look at these clothes. Which ones do you like? Pick a few tonight, and Mom will have someone bring them over for you to wear temporarily. Tomorrow, when we're free, Mom will take you shopping. Okay, thank you, Mom. I walked over, acting a little spoiled. Asher, walking behind me, saw this scene, gripped the bags of clothes tightly, and forced a smile. Uncle, Auntie, Brother Sterling, I'll be going back now. Alaric just gave a brief, Alara looked up, nodded slightly, and said nothing. I turned around and smiled radiantly. I advise you not to come parading in front of me again and humiliate yourself. Asher forced an awkward smile and left the East Villa. After he left, Alara asked, what did he say to you? I looked down at the clothing designs on the tablet and replied, just some provocations, saying that second uncle and second aunt brought me back so I could take his place and marry the eldest lady of the Astor family, the crippled one. Alara froze, looking at her husband. Her usually gentle eyes were now filled with anger. So, second brother and his wife really had this intention. They are too much! Alaric wrapped his arm around his wife's shoulders and comforted her gently. Don't worry. Sterling is our son now. We will absolutely never agree to let Sterling take their adopted son's place and marry the Astor family's eldest lady. But I surprised them both by saying, Dad, Mom, I am entirely willing to marry the eldest lady of the Astor family. Both of them were stunned. Alara snapped out of it and quickly explained, Sterling, you just got back so you don't know the situation with the Astor family. The eldest lady of the Astor family got into an accident last month. Her legs are crippled and she can't stand anymore. I smiled, completely unbothered. I know, but it's fine. I am highly skilled in medicine. I am confident I can heal her legs. Over at the West Villa, Beatrix looked at the bags of clothes Asher brought back and instantly guessed what happened, her eyes full of dissatisfaction. Asher, he didn't accept your clothes? Asher looked hurt and gave a bitter smile. Yes, he still refuses to accept me. Serafina was highly displeased. He truly doesn't know what's good for him. Asher, in the future, you don't need to lower yourself to try and please him. He's not worth it. Asher acted like a perfect angel. I just don't want everything to fall on your shoulders, making you too stressed. The dissatisfaction on Serafina's face instantly melted into doting affection. What silly things are you saying? Protecting my little brother is only natural. Don't do these unnecessary things anymore. Mom, Dad, and I are determined to keep you. You don't need to look at his face. Beatrix was also annoyed. He really is someone who throws away face when it's given to him. The next morning, to get familiar with the Vance estate, I took a walk around the grounds alone. Eventually, I stopped in front of a building. Just then I saw Asher walking out. He was wearing a white suit, holding a foreign language book, looking like a total artsy intellectual boy. Seeing me, Asher froze for a second, then a mocking smile appeared. He quickly walked over and enthusiastically grabbed my hand. Brother Sterling, good morning. Did you sleep well last night? Are you feeling uncomfortable anywhere? After all, the Vance family estate isn't as quiet as the countryside. Looking at this incredibly fake Asher, I laughed coldly but calmly asked back, are you mocking me for being from the country and not being used to this so-called wealthy place of yours? Asher hurriedly waved his hands, pretending to be innocent. Brother Sterling, you misunderstood my intentions. I absolutely wasn't mocking you. I was just caring about you. But I wasn't buying it. Stop acting innocent. You think I don't know what's going through your head? Your mother is currently in prison, yet you still have the thick skin to stay in the Vance family. Truly an eye-opener. But I am the true young master of the Vance family. How could I possibly sleep poorly like you? Saying that, I aggressively yanked my hand away from his. The smile on Asher's face stiffened. Seeing that there was no one around, he stopped pretending altogether. Sterling, a country bumpkin like you turning into a phoenix should be thanking the heavens and earth. Why do you insist on going against me? He continued, provoking me. Sterling, do you know what this building is for? Without waiting for my answer, he replied himself. It's the place where the young ladies and masters of the Vance family study. Since I was little, I've learned all sorts of talents here, taught by private tutors hired for top dollar. I wonder what talents you have, Sterling. Probably nothing, right? It's a pity you're already this old. It's too late to learn now. But it's okay. You know how to plant vegetables, farm, wash dishes, and cook. I don't know any of those things, so I might have to ask you for guidance. I raised my hand and delivered a crisp, high-definition slap straight to Asher's face. He didn't have time to react. Getting knocked straight to the ground, he lay sprawled on the floor, glaring at me with sheer resentment, just about to open his mouth. But at that exact moment, he spotted Serafina walking over from a distance. He immediately covered his face, his eyes turning bright red, acting incredibly wronged and pitiful. Serafina saw this scene and stormed over furiously, quickly kneeling down to support Asher. Asher, what happened? Asher covered his face, playing the victim. I just asked Brother Sterling if he wanted to learn music, chess, calligraphy, or painting. If he wanted to, I could teach him. I don't know why Brother Sterling suddenly slapped me. I waved my hand and said casually, you don't know? It's because you're too despicable. Serafina glared at me. You dare hit Asher? Growing up, Asher has never been bullied by anyone. You've repeatedly used words to attack Asher, and now you actually dare to lay your hands on him? Today, I am going to teach you a lesson. Hearing this, the corners of Asher's mouth twitched up slightly. Reginald wasn't wrong. Growing up, whoever dared to bully him, Serafina would beat them half to death, even if it was a girl. Unfortunately, before Serafina could even get close, I delivered a swift kick to her knee. Not only did she fail to hit me, but she tumbled forward, both hands slamming onto the ground, kneeling right in front of me. Before she could react, I stepped hard onto the hand she was using to support herself on the ground and let out a long yawn. So annoying. Second sister, are you this weak? Asher didn't expect me to actually lay a hand on Serafina. He looked at me in pure shock. Brother Sterling, you resent me, you hit me, fine. But why did you attack second sister? I shrugged. She made the first move. I was just acting in self-defense. Sterling, you uneducated country bumpkin, let go right now, or I'll chop your hand off. Serafina screamed, but I stepped down even harder. It forced her to just groan in pain, completely unable to curse anymore. After that, I took a step back. Asher hurriedly knelt down, grabbed Serafina's hand, and asked worriedly, second sister? With Asher's support, Serafina tried to stand up, but the seemingly light kick to her knee was extremely painful. Coupled with her throbbing, trampled hand, she simply didn't have the strength to stand. Halfway up, she collapsed to her knees again. I laughed out loud. Serafina, your knees aren't as hard as your mouth, huh? Do you just love kneeling that much? Serafina looked up, her eyes full of humiliation. Very well, Sterling. From now on, don't you dare ever call me sister. I laughed like I just heard the joke of the century. Accept you as a sister? I'd rather adopt a dog. Saying that, I turned around and left. Why is Lady Serafina kneeling there? I don't know, and I definitely don't dare to ask. The whispers of the passing servants echoed, making Serafina feel ultimate humiliation. She screamed at them, what are you looking at? Are you idiots? Hurry up and help me up! The servants jumped in fright and rushed over to help her into the house. Asher carefully checked her knee. Second sister, your knee is bruised and swollen. I'm sorry, it's all my fault you ended up like this. Serafina quickly comforted him. Asher, it has nothing to do with you. Sterling is just a petty person. He's jealous, so he can't tolerate you. She frowned, speaking resolutely. Asher, I've thought it through. The only way to stop you from being bullied is to make the whole family, especially Grandpa, despise Sterling. Only then will he not be able to hurt you anymore. Asher was about to say something, but Seraphina's eyes were full of determination. Don't try to persuade me, I've made up my mind. Who told him he couldn't tolerate you? A flash of triumph gleamed in Asher's eyes. Excellent. Now he didn't even need to lift a finger. Sterling and Seraphina were completely at each other's throats. Returning home, Alara took me shopping for clothes. When we got back, the head butler was waiting in the living room, handing over the household registration book. The procedures for transferring me to Alara's household were complete. Alara's eyes lit up, but before she could even celebrate, a shrill woman's voice pierced through from the doorway. Sterling, you ungrateful wretch! Your father and I brought you back, and you refused to acknowledge us. Fine. But now you actually dare to hit your own biological sister. Beatrix and Reginald, leading Seraphina and Asher, stormed in. Seraphina was limping, one hand scraped and bandaged. Today, I must demand justice for our Seraphina. Beatrix's eyes were red, looking incredibly wronged. Alaric and Alara looked highly exasperated. Second brother, sister-in-law, what's happening now? You even called Grandpa over? As soon as they entered the grand hall, Beatrix deliberately spoke loudly. Big brother, sister-in-law, do you know what a massive disaster he caused today? Looking at Seraphina's resentful glare, I sneered. Second aunt, what are you yelling in my house for? Tell me, what disaster did I cause? Every time I called her second aunt. Beatrix gritted her teeth in fury. She stepped forward, pointing an accusing finger. Sterling, there are limits to your tantrums. Now you even dare to hit your biological sister? I think you're getting arrogant, relying on the title of the Vance family young master. Today, we must let Grandpa teach you a lesson. Alara grabbed my hand and pulled me behind her. The situation isn't clear yet, sister-in-law. Don't scare Sterling. Alaric frowned. Sister-in-law, speak clearly. I don't believe Sterling would hit someone for no reason. Why wouldn't he? Beatrix pointed at Asher. Look at Asher's face and knees. Seraphina said all these injuries were caused by Sterling beating them this morning. Alara looked at me and asked softly, Sterling, what happened? Her voice was gentle, lacking any hint of blame. I admitted frankly, yes, Asher's face and Seraphina's knee were hit by me. But I think they deserve to be hit. Beatrix glared. What nonsense! How did they deserve it? What right do you have to hit my children? I ignored Beatrix and looked at Grandpa Vance. Grandpa, I know hitting people is wrong, but Asher used insulting words against me. No matter what, I am your biological grandson, the true young master of the Vance family. An adopted child dares to humiliate me. Tell me, Grandpa, did he deserve to be hit? As for Seraphina, she tried to lay hands on me first. I kicked her knee purely in self-defense. Beatrix immediately fired back. You must be lying. We've lived with Asher for 20 years. Don't we know what kind of person he is? I think you're the one framing him. Seraphina only hit you because you attacked Asher out of nowhere first. I raised an eyebrow. Is that so? Asher, do you dare say you didn't insult me? Asher, tearing up, shook his head. I really didn't insult Brother Sterling. This morning I saw him standing in front of the one-star building. I thought he wanted to learn music, chess, calligraphy, or painting, so I went to say hello. Who knew Brother Sterling would think I was looking down on him and showing off, and then slap me without a word? I swear to the heavens I had no intention of humiliating Brother Sterling. Beatrix heartbreakingly caressed Asher's face. My good boy, don't cry. How could Mom not believe you? You've been obedient and sensible since you were little, raised by me. How could you be as terrible as Sterling claims? Then she turned and continued, Did you hear that? I told you, Sterling just came back from the country, he's hard to teach. Big brother, sister-in-law, you took him as your son. Why didn't you discipline him so he wouldn't cause a disaster on his first day? Having said her piece, Beatrix turned to complain to Grandpa Vance. Dad, I called you here to uphold justice, you heard everything. No matter what, I just want big brother and sister-in-law to give me an explanation. Seraphina and Asher can't be beaten for no reason like this. Grandpa Vance's face was stone cold. What do you want? Beatrix patted Seraphina's shoulder. Seraphina, Asher, go ahead, tell us how you want to settle this beating. Grandpa will get justice for you today. Asher looked at me with teary eyes and whispered, I just want Brother Sterling to apologize to me, that's enough. Seraphina said, he is part of the Vance family, so I won't demand an eye for an eye. I just want him to apologize to Asher and sign an agreement consenting to Asher staying in the Vance family. Grandpa, my request is simple, right? I laughed coldly. Simple? Forcing me to apologize to that guy is a massive insult to me. Seraphina, you really know how to make me sick. Then I looked at Grandpa. Grandpa, my household registration has already been transferred to my parents. I don't want second uncle and second aunt to use our blood relation to coerce me in the future. So I also hope you can be a witness. After resolving this hitting incident, I want to sign an agreement permanently cutting ties with them. Seraphina laughed coldly. Permanently cutting ties? Do you think that's a threat? Not having you as a brother is something I couldn't even pray for. Seeing her own children getting beaten by me, Beatrix also decided to stop enduring me just for the sake of the family assets. Sterling, do you really want to sign a severing ties agreement? Once you sign it, regretting it later will be useless. Only a dog would regret it, I stated, then looked at Asher. You want to know why I hit them? Just listen and you'll know. Asher froze. Listen to what? He panicked. Could it be impossible? Under Asher's pale, terrified gaze, I took out my phone and played an audio recording. Sterling, why are you still so clueless? Mom and Dad only brought you back so you could take my place and marry the eldest lady of the Astor family. A country bumpkin like you, turning into a phoenix, should be thanking the heavens and earth. Why do you insist on going against me? You even went and made uncle and auntie your parents. Now you're stuck in the middle, looking like an idiot. Embarrassing, right? Do you really think uncle and auntie genuinely like you enough to make you their son? It's just because you have the Vance family bloodline. Maybe in the future, if Grandpa is generous, you might inherit a tiny piece of the assets. Sterling, what talents do you even have? Probably nothing, right? It's a pity you're already this old. It's too late to learn now, but it's okay. You know how to plant vegetables, farm, wash clothes, and cook. I don't know any of those things, so I might have to ask you for guidance. The more Grandpa Vance listened, the uglier his face became. I knew Asher's insults were secondary. The key point was that he mentioned the Vance family's assets. To Grandpa Vance, who still held absolute power over the family, someone plotting his assets before he was even dead was like a prince plotting for the throne while the emperor was still alive. A massive taboo. Therefore, I deliberately turned up the volume when Asher said those specific words. Asher stiffened, his brain spinning rapidly to find a way to salvage his image. Serafina and Beatrix also panicked, thinking, "Oh crap, why did this adopted son talk about the assets? Talking is one thing, but getting recorded for Grandpa to hear." Grandpa Vance's face was as dark as a storm cloud. "Asher, you are just an adopted son of the Vance family. I'm not even dead yet, and you're already calculating how my family's assets will be divided?" Asher's tears immediately began falling as he shook his head. "Grandpa, it's not like that. Don't call me Grandpa!" Grandpa Vance slammed his cane hard against the floor. "The recording is crystal clear." "Am I deaf? Is that not your voice?" Asher panicked. "It is my voice, but the situation wasn't like that. It was Brother Sterling constantly insulting me. I couldn't take it anymore, so I said those harsh words." Serafina found it hard to believe. Were those words in the recording really spoken by the gentle Asher? But she quickly rationalized it. I must have provoked Asher, pushing him past his limits and forcing him to retaliate with those ugly words. She glared at me, her eyes shooting fire. "Asher is right! Who knows what horrible things you said to him beforehand to make him fight back like that?" Grandpa Vance snorted coldly. "Serafina, the evidence is right in front of you, yet you are still so foolish and unable to distinguish right from wrong. Sterling is right. You should be kicked out and beaten to fix that brain of yours." I put away my phone and reminded Grandpa. "Grandpa, him insulting me is one thing, but he also said my parents only took me in for the assets. I reckon Asher saying that was probably taught by second uncle and second aunt, right?" Hearing this, Reginald's sharp, cold eyes locked onto me. "Second uncle, don't glare at me like that. I'm scared." I ducked behind Alara. Alara hugged me tightly, her voice stricter than ever before. "The matter is crystal clear. It was your adopted son who provoked Sterling first, saying so many outrageous things. Moreover, your adopted son also claimed you brought Sterling back so he could take his place and marry the eldest lady of the Astor family. Is this true?" Alara originally didn't plan to expose this in front of Grandpa Vance, but things had reached this point. Even if Sterling agreed to the marriage, he absolutely could not suffer such a disadvantage in silence as Grandpa Vance's face was terrifyingly dark. "Is there such a thing?" Beatrix didn't dare to speak. Reginald denied it. "It's not like that. We only just found out Sterling is our biological son. How could we have planned in advance to have him replace Asher in marrying the eldest lady of the Astor family?" Asher gritted his teeth and took the blame. "It was because I wanted to stay, but Brother Sterling wouldn't accept it. He kept trying to kick me out. I was so desperate that I purposely said those things." Hearing this, Grandpa Vance looked strictly at Reginald and Beatrix. "You are the ones who need to properly educate your adopted son. Next time there's a petty argument like this and you haven't even sorted out right from wrong, don't call me here to intervene." Reginald nodded. "Yes, I will go back and discipline Asher strictly." Beatrix felt incredibly wronged. She never expected this biological son to be so cunning, actually managing to record audio in that situation. I looked at Grandpa Vance. "Grandpa, we can't just leave it at this. Second uncle and second aunt barged into my home with their people and terrified me." Grandpa Vance said angrily, "The four of you apologize to Sterling immediately." Serafina objected in dissatisfaction. "Grandpa, even if we were wrong first, he shouldn't have gotten physical. What right does he have to make us apologize?" "I won't do it." Grandpa Vance raised his cane, about to smack Serafina's head. "You still dare to talk back to me?" Beatrix quickly stopped him. "Serafina, don't make Grandpa angry. Quickly apologize to Sterling." I crossed my arms and mocked. "Hurry up." Second uncle and second aunt, too. Asher spoke up first, looking wronged. "Brother Sterling, I apologize." Beatrix followed. "Sterling, I'm sorry for misunderstanding you." Reginald stiffly and reluctantly apologized. Only Serafina turned her face away, forcing out a rigid apology. I acted magnanimous. "Since you've apologized, I won't make things difficult for you anymore. Next up is signing the agreement to sever ties, completely cutting off any relation." Reginald said sternly, "Have you thought this through? Once you sign the agreement, your mother and I will no longer care about you." I said lightly. "Is second uncle joking? You didn't care about me for the past 20 years either." Alaric firmly cut in. "Second brother, you don't need to worry. Alara and I will take good care of Sterling. Grandpa Vance, seeing that my mind was made up, said nothing more. Sterling, the severing ties agreement. I will have the head butler bring it over tomorrow. After saying that, Grandpa Vance was assisted by the butler out of the villa. I watched him leave respectfully. Yes, thank you, Grandpa. Take care, Grandpa. Then I turned to second uncle and second aunt, mocking them. Grandpa is gone. Why are you guys still standing here? Haven't you been scolded enough? Beatrix was furious. Sterling, you really are someone who only helps outsiders. Serafina snorted coldly. Mom, don't waste your breath on him. Let's go. She pulled Asher away but still looked back. Sterling, I hope you don't regret this in the future and come crawling back to beg for our forgiveness. Reginald originally intended to use the incident of his children being beaten to ruin my reputation in front of Grandpa. But now, he just said coldly, I truly overestimated you, and waved his hand, leaving. Beatrix was also livid. My daughter is right. You will regret this in the future. After that, she followed them out of the villa. Asher secretly plotted how to explain the recording incident. Serafina comforted him first. Asher, don't overthink it. I understand you. If you weren't pushed by Sterling, you wouldn't have done that. Asher looked wronged. I always thought that if Brother Sterling treated me that way, I could understand it. But he repeatedly tramples on my good intentions. I really couldn't take it anymore. I just hoped that because of me, Mom, Dad, and Brother Sterling wouldn't fall out. Beatrix looked at him with deep affection. What happened years ago can't be blamed on you. Your biological mother did that for your own good. She's paid the price and is in prison now. He tested the waters. Mom, you won't blame us, right? Beatrix teared up. Asher, to Mom, you are my son. She was touched, thinking about how excellently she had raised this adopted son. How could she bear to abandon him for the biological one? She had already tried her best with the biological son. If he knew what was good for him, he should have just smoothly returned. Reginald seriously reminded Asher, Asher, this time you really shouldn't have let him catch your weakness. You must be more careful in the future. Asher nodded. Yes, I didn't expect him to scheme against me. I absolutely won't let it happen again. Beatrix worried. Now I'm just afraid that after such a huge fight, whether he will still be willing to marry the eldest lady of the Astor family. Asher bit his lip. Mom, if not, let me marry the eldest lady of the Astor family. Maybe that will calm Brother Sterling's anger. Serafina instantly objected. No way, I can't let you marry a cripple. Reginald also disagreed. Asher, you are so outstanding, you deserve someone better. I've already lost my biological son. If my adopted son doesn't maximize his value, I'll be losing more than I gain, Beatrix said firmly. I'll handle the substitute marriage. I absolutely will not let you marry the eldest lady of the Astor family. Asher breathed a sigh of relief. After Reginald's family left, Alara comforted me. Sterling, we truly like you and want you to be our son. It's not for the Vance family's assets. I smiled. Mom, I know. Alara shook her head and sighed. I didn't expect Asher to be that kind of person. I couldn't believe the words in that recording came from him. Alaric wasn't too surprised. You know a person's face but not their heart. Thankfully, it wasn't a huge disaster, but we have to be on guard against Second Brother's family in the future. Alara nodded. Yes, I understand. I thought to myself, ever since I came back, I guessed Asher wouldn't sit still, so I came prepared. When he actively provoked me, I didn't hesitate to pull out the recording. I have to say, the guy is really careless. But after this, he'll definitely be more cautious. That makes it more interesting. I am the true young master of the Vance family. I'm going to enjoy this title to the fullest, and I have plenty of time to play with Asher. At noon the next day, before Grandpa Vance officially announced the severing ties agreement, Beatrix came looking for me alone. I was lying on a hammock in the front yard sunbathing, using a banana leaf to cover my eyes. Hearing her voice, I said lazily, "Where is that dog barking coming from? Weird, we don't have dogs. So why is there a dog barking here every day?" Beatrix knew I was cursing her. Her face looked terrible, but she held it back. Sterling, this is a gift Mom brought for you. See if you like it. I glanced at the gift she presented. A bank card, she explained. There's 10 million in this card. It's a token of appreciation from me and your father. You suffered outside before. Consider this 10 million as compensation for the last 20 years. She tried to shove the card into my hand. I held the card up and examined it. Wow, 10 million? In my head I was thinking, 10 million is only equivalent to the price of one rare medicinal herb I grow, and I have a whole pile of them. This money isn't even 1% of my herb research funding. I pretended to be teary-eyed, making Beatrix think I was moved. I knew that in your heart you still want to accept us. After all, we share blood. I put the card down and looked at her with disdain. Second aunt, you guys are seriously broke, yet you have the nerve to show your faces. She froze, enraged. I'm angry? You say we're broke? This is 10 million. You couldn't earn this selling medicinal herbs for your entire life. Now I'm giving you 10 million, and you're turning up your nose at it? I sneered and threw the card directly at her face. I don't give a damn about 10 million. Do you have a mental problem? She was startled by my action, stepping back twice and almost falling. After steadying herself, she yelled, Sterling, how dare you treat your biological mother like this? I jumped off the hammock, grabbed the banana leaf and fanned it at her face. Keep talking nonsense, and next time I'll throw bird poop at your face. Believe it? She panicked and dodged. Finally, I threw the banana leaf right at her face. She was shocked, stepping on the crushed leaf, trying to regain her composure. Sterling, there's a limit to your anger towards us. You don't even want 10 million. Aren't you being too greedy? 10 million. You couldn't earn that selling herbs your whole life. Still don't know when enough is enough? I laughed coldly. I don't give a crap about 10 million. Even if you handed over the entire Vance family fortune, I still wouldn't forgive you. Beatrix's eyes visibly changed, surprised that I knew so much. I said coldly, don't think I don't know. You guys actually knew I was your biological son early on, but because you despised me, you just let me live outside. Since you've treated me like this, don't blame me for not holding back. She was furious, her eyes filled with resentment. She ran over to pick up a stick by the flower bed, marching over and raising it to hit me. Right as the stick fell, I grabbed it, twisted hard to snatch it from her hand, snapped it in half and tossed it aside like a used toothpick. Let me tell you, I didn't come back this time to acknowledge you. I came back to make sure your lives are a living hell. Originally, I planned to take over the entire Vance family fortune. But now I see that aside from you lot, everyone else in the family is pretty decent. So, I've decided destroying just your branch of the family will be enough. Beatrix trembled with rage. I continued coldly, your eldest son, Orion Vance, manages Starlight Entertainment. Recently, he signed a few potential stars and brought in some profit, but compared to the established entertainment companies in Kim City, he's still far behind. As for Serafina doing music, she just released a hit song that's blowing up everywhere. But if a scandal breaks out right now, I wonder if she could turn the tide. I smiled maliciously. Second aunt, what do you think would happen if I ruin their careers? She pointed at me, trembling. What exactly do you want? I smiled. I just want to ruin your daughter's career. Is that so hard for you to accept? So why was it okay for Asher to steal 20 years of my life, and you find that forgivable? She froze. The question left her speechless. Why? Why else? Sterling, think about it. I raised Asher for 20 years. Even if he's not my biological son, so what? Even if he was a dog, I would still have feelings for him. Let alone the fact that Asher is a living, breathing person. Beatrix was agitated, as if trying to convince herself. Plus, the adopted son she raised was outstanding and obedient, making her very satisfied. She kept rambling, I know that for you, the biological son, this is very unfair and hard to accept, but life is inherently unfair. We can only say you have a tough fate. I looked at her and laughed. It truly is a tough fate. How else did I end up with a mother like you? She stiffened, but still spoke cautiously. Sterling, I am your biological mother. I never wanted to abandon you. As long as you come back, I will give you the best of everything. I laughed coldly. You can't bear to let go of your adopted son, but you claim you'll give me the best. What a complete joke. She tried to say more, but I lost my patience. Get lost. Hearing you speak pollutes my ears. Seeing me stand firm, her face flushed red. How did I give birth to such an unfilial son like you? She kept jumping up and down, yapping constantly. I raised a broom, making a shooing motion. Are you gonna scram or not? Scram? Or I'll poison you mute. Actually, it was just common itching powder. It would last a day, enough to make her suffer. Afraid something might actually happen, she picked up the bank card from the floor, cursed me as an unfilial son, and turned to leave. As soon as she left, the head butler arrived. Young master, the severing ties agreement has been prepared under the master's orders. If the young master has thought it through, please come to the Vance family's ancestral hall at 8 p.m. tonight to sign the agreement. The master will personally bear witness. I nodded happily. All right. Thanks for letting me know, Uncle. He didn't even want 10 million? Reginald paused while pouring tea, looking shocked. Has a brat fresh from the countryside ever seen such a huge sum of money? 10 million, and he doesn't even put it in his eyes? Beatrix rubbed her throat, her voice full of anger. It's not just that. He even threw out threats, saying he wants to destroy our entire family, ruin his sister's career. Reginald furiously slammed the teapot onto the table. He really said that? Of course he did. He knows we found out he was our biological son early on but didn't care for so many years, so he harbors resentment in his heart. Hearing Beatrix recount the story, Reginald furrowed his brows deeply. I can tolerate other things, but ruining my daughter's career? I won't let him off. Is this really true? Beatrix confirmed. 100% true. I just regret not recording it for you to hear. I was so mad I almost fainted on the spot. After saying that, she felt a burning sensation in her throat and quickly chugged a large gulp of the tea Reginald had just poured. It seems he is determined to cut ties with us. I can tolerate other things, but if he dares to covet the Vance family assets, even if he's my biological son, I won't spare him. Reginald pondered. Beatrix asked, so for signing the severing ties agreement tonight, we're not going to stop him anymore? Keeping this kind of son around is just a disaster waiting to happen. Better to cut ties cleanly. If he causes trouble outside in the future, that'll be big brother and sister-in-law's problem, completely unrelated to us. Reginald wouldn't allow anyone to ruin his two children's careers. Their careers were developing smoothly, and the Vance family assets would definitely belong to them in the future. But now, with Sterling as a variable, it was hard to say how the assets would be divided. The most urgent matter was to quickly make Sterling marry the worthless girl from the Astor family, completely separating him from the Vance family. You need to quickly push forward the plan to have Sterling replace Asher in marrying the eldest lady of the Astor family. Reginald instructed seriously. Beatrix nodded. I know. We definitely can't let Asher marry that crippled woman now. The only one who can go is Sterling. I'll find a time tomorrow to talk to Grandpa. In the CEO's office of Starlight Media, a cold-faced man sat behind his desk, his brows slightly furrowed, clearly displeased. I gave you the responsibility of negotiating the copyright purchase for Lily Evergreen's latest novel, The Chronicles of Azure. It's been nearly a month. Why haven't you even contacted the author yet? Do you plan on working or not? The sales department manager broke out in a cold sweat and quickly explained. Lily Evergreen's editor said this great author is very elusive. Even the editor frequently loses contact with her. We have to wait for the author to initiate contact. Orion Vance said coldly, I don't care what the reason is. I'm giving you 1 more week. If you can't buy the copyright, pack your bags and get out. Being criticized like he was worthless, the sales manager felt dissatisfied. He finally couldn't hold back. President Vance, sir, do you really think that just by opening your mouth, you can buy The Chronicles of Azure? It's incredibly hot right now. Other veteran entertainment companies are also eyeing the copyright. Even if we do manage to contact Lily Evergreen, they might not necessarily sell it to us. Orion's face grew even darker. Then what do I pay you for? Do you need me to step in personally? The manager muttered softly. Even if you step in personally, they might not necessarily give you face. Say 1 more word and get the hell out. The manager wanted to say more, but ultimately just replied, yes, sir, and left the office. Orion rubbed his temples. Recently, the company spent big money to hire trending stars, but 2 consecutive movies flopped without creating a single explosive hit. If he didn't produce a standout piece of work, his abilities would be questioned by Grandpa. He desperately needed a massive hit to prove himself. At this moment, the office door opened again. Big brother. Orion looked up at his sister, Serafina. What's wrong? Serafina didn't go back to her studio but came straight to her brother, recounting everything that had happened over the past few days. You've been busy outside. You don't know how miserably Asher is being bullied at home. She angrily retold everything since Sterling had returned over the last 3 days. Hearing this, Orion frowned. Wasn't he just selling medicine in a village? He has no education or background. Why is he acting so arrogantly the moment he returns to the Vance family? He even dared to hit you and Asher. Serafina pulled up her pant leg, revealing the bruise on her knee. Big brother, look! He kicked my knee so hard he almost crippled me, and Asher got slapped, his face all swollen and red. You know how it is. Since we were kids, Asher has never suffered such humiliation. He's been crying so much these past few days his eyes are swollen shut. She spread her hands. I can't beat him by myself. You have to help me. Orion's face remained calm, but his eyes were icy cold. I know. It seems I need to make time today to meet this biological brother of mine. His mood was already terrible, and he needed a punching bag. Since Sterling walked right into the line of fire, he wasn't going to hold back. At 2 p.m., even though it was already September, the weather was still scorching. I was in the front yard, drying the herbs I brought from TM Mountain. Suddenly, a voice rang out. You're Sterling? That biological brother of mine who just got brought back? The man standing before me was around 25 or 26, his facial features somewhat resembling Serafina's but much colder. I kept my head down, continuing to organize the herbs, and replied neutrally, I am Sterling, the young master of the Vance family. But I'm no longer your brother. What do you want? Seeing me focused on a pile of grass and not even bothering to look at him, Orion realized Serafina wasn't exaggerating at all. This biological brother really was arrogant to the core, completely disregarding him. You know who I am, yet you still act like this. He suppressed his anger, trying to maintain his composure. With your attitude toward the family, I'd act exactly the same, even if Mom and Dad were here. What kind of attitude do you expect from me? I finally looked up. My eyes full of sarcasm and contempt, Orion radiated cold hostility. It seems this biological brother isn't worth my politeness. He stepped forward and stomped on the pile of herbs I was drying, crushing them under his shoe. I paused my movements, my gaze turning razor-sharp. Finally giving him my attention, I stood up to face him, not answering his question. I just coldly used my abilities to restore the crushed herbs back to their original state. He was stunned for a moment, then laughed mockingly. Serafina was right. You really don't know what's good for you, treating weeds like treasure. He raised his foot again, aiming to crush another herb. I wasn't angry, just casually asked, do you know how much the herb you just stomped on is worth? He laughed coldly. 2 blades of grass like you, not worth a single penny. At least 50 million, I said calmly. If I put it up for auction, the starting bid would be 10 million. Your mother offered me 10 million this noon, hoping I'd accept her again, but I didn't care for it, because that amount isn't even worth a few of my herbs. His eyes turned icy, filled with killing intent. I didn't come here to talk nonsense with you. How do you plan to compensate? Cash or transfer? He stomped down again. Don't want to pay? Do you think I can't do anything to you? I ignored his anger and observed him. No compensation. Then I'll take your leg as payment. Orion, completely provoked, grabbed me by the collar. Keep talking nonsense, and I'll kill you, believe it or not. Looking at his furious face, I laughed coldly. Orion, it's a pity you haven't killed me yet. I'm afraid you'll die first. He took a deep breath and roared, Guards! Immediately, 4 bodyguards rushed in and surrounded me. Grab him and take him away! I stood still, not resisting, letting the bodyguards drag me out of the East Villa and shove me into a waiting car outside. The car drove off immediately. 2 hours later, the bodyguards pulled me out of the car and roughly shoved me into an abandoned factory. I rolled, steadied myself, and looked around. Judging by the setup, they were planning to go hard. I already knew this family had no feelings for me and only doted on Asher, but I didn't expect them to be this ruthless. It made my 20 years of suffering outside feel even more bitter. No anger at all? I am not taking this lying down. Orion ordered the guards to watch the door, bringing 2 bodyguards inside and closing the door. He looked at me coldly. No one will know if I deal with you here. I smiled. Yeah, nice place. Whatever happens here, nobody will ever know. His eyes were bone-chilling. I'm not like your second sister. My temper isn't that good. If I make a move, I absolutely won't waste words on you. Out of consideration that you are my biological brother, I'll sympathize with your lack of understanding of the rules and give you a chance. Kneel and apologize to Asher. Slap yourself 100 times and I'll spare you today. Kneel, apologize, and slap myself 100 times? Is this supposed to be an opportunity? Orion looked at me and sneered coldly. Even if you are my biological brother, I have 0 feelings for you. I watched Asher grow up with me. How can you compare to him? But if you apologize to him and guarantee you won't cause any more trouble, I can spare you for the sake of our blood. I laughed until tears came to my eyes. Orion, you are truly hilarious. Everyone in the Vance family speaks in such a ridiculous manner. You treat the enemy's son with so much affection. Well then, in the future, any child you have, I'll find someone to swap them out so you can raise your enemy's child. Meanwhile, your biological child will be thrown into the slums to suffer. How does that sound? His eyes were freezing, overflowing with murderous intent. You dare? Why get angry? Does it matter if they're biological or not? Even if it's the enemy's child you're raising, you'll still have feelings for them, right? Why care? I continued, mocking. Furious, he grabbed my collar. Enough, Asher is different from you. What happened was his mother's doing. He took a sharp knife from a bodyguard. Since you're so stubborn, don't blame me for not holding back. I'm going to carve a few lines into your face, turn you into a monster so you won't have the face to humiliate Asher anymore. Right as he was about to strike, his hand suddenly lost all its strength. The knife dropped to the floor. His whole body felt weak, his legs gave out, and he couldn't stand properly. What's happening? He exclaimed in shock. I clapped my hands. You've been poisoned! He tried to stay upright. The 2 bodyguards saw that the situation was bad and lunged forward to subdue me. But just like Orion, their legs turned to jelly. They collapsed to the floor, their bodies twitching. I chuckled. From the moment you people touched me, you were already poisoned. Realizing he was at a disadvantage, Orion gathered all his strength and yelled, Guards! Something's wrong! Get in here and save me! As soon as the words left his mouth, he couldn't hold on any longer and collapsed, his head smacking hard against the floor. I crouched down near him. Stop yelling. Those useless guards outside are passed out too. No one is coming to save you. Since you refuse to compensate, I'll take your leg as payment, he roared. You dare! I tilted my head. Why wouldn't I dare? Did you think I would go easy on you? I picked up the knife and waved it in front of his face. What did you say you were going to do to me just now? Carve a few lines on my face? Test how ruthless. I am your biological brother. You wanted to destroy my face just to vent some anger for Asher. It really breaks my heart. Orion struggled to get up, but the moment his hands touched the ground, they turned to mush. He grew weaker by the second, eventually giving up. He could only glare at me. If you dare lay a single finger on me, Grandpa will immediately kick you out of the Vance family. Do you think just because you're the true young master, Grandpa will pamper you? In the Vance family, I am the most important person to Grandpa. Once you're kicked out, I have a million ways to deal with you. I twirled the knife, looking troubled. But I don't need Grandpa to back me up. What should I do? I don't give a damn about the Vance family assets. I only came back to see how you people live, and whether you felt any guilt for what I went through. But nobody in your entire family feels guilty at all. Oh well, I guess I'll just have to let you taste a little pain. Saying that, I dragged him to a corner and propped him up. No one can hear you here, so feel free to scream your lungs out if it hurts, I offered generously. I flipped the knife, crouched in front of Orion, and sliced open his dress pants, exposing his calf. At this point, he finally panicked. It seemed he really feared I would go through with it. Sterling, I'm warning you, don't do anything stupid. We can talk this out. Didn't you want $50 million in compensation? Fine, I'll compensate you immediately. Before he could even finish, Orion screamed in agony from the intense pain in his calf. Blood oozed from the wound and dripped onto the floor. Orion broke out in a cold sweat. Seeing me holding the knife preparing to continue slicing the tendons in his leg, his fear became palpable. Sterling, I'm giving you one last chance to stop. If you really dare to cut my tendons, I will never let you off for the rest of my life. His agonized screams echoed through the abandoned factory. Wow, hurts a lot, doesn't it? You're screaming a bit too loud. I pulled a silver needle from my sleeve and pierced it straight into his neck. Keep quiet for a bit. It's getting annoying. This time, Orion couldn't make a single sound. He could only stare blankly as I held the knife against his calf, letting out helpless, muffled groans. Tears mixed with sweat rolled down from the corners of his eyes. The excruciating pain made it impossible for him to resist. I still didn't stop. Bear with it a little longer. I'm great at medicine, cutting a tendon won't take too long. Eventually, Orion passed out from the pain. Useless trash, passed out already? I stopped, pulled out the silver needle blocking his voice, and pierced another pressure point to wake him up. Orion opened his eyes and met my gaze. Awake? Don't pass out this time, I'm not done cutting your tendon yet. If you pass out, cutting it won't be any fun. My demonic words made him curse furiously. Sterling, you will die a horrible death. You can keep cursing, I won't get bored. I satisfyingly picked up the knife. I'm going to continue cutting your leg tendon now. With another slice of the knife, Orion screamed tragically again, his face turning terrifyingly pale, but this time he didn't pass out. Done. I only cut the tendon in your right leg this time. You should be glad, since you used your right leg to stomp on my herbs. I tossed the knife aside, shoved an antidote pill into his mouth, and stood up. Try walking and see if your right leg still works. Orion realized he could move again and gritted his teeth as he stood up, but his right leg only radiated agonizing pain. It had absolutely zero strength. His heart sank to the bottom of an abyss. His right leg was truly crippled. He obviously came to teach this biological brother a lesson and vent anger for Asher. How did it end up like this? He couldn't accept the reality and screamed, "Call the police! I don't want to be a cripple!" Watching him break down, I felt bored. I thought you were so tough. But you broke down after just one cut tendon? Well, makes sense. People raised in a greenhouse really are fragile. Just as I was about to leave, I heard clapping behind me. Clap, clap, clap. I narrowed my eyes and turned around, surprised to see someone I didn't expect. Lyra asked her, "Why are you here? Wasn't this fairy-like woman the same one who came to the village looking for me?" Lyra smiled and gestured for her assistant Bastian to push her wheelchair forward. I originally wanted to come see the place that crippled my legs. I didn't expect to witness such an entertaining show. Truly spectacular. I tilted my head, looking at her. "So you were kidnapped and brought here, and had your legs broken?" Lyra nodded, touching her legs, her eyes casting downward, her eyelashes fluttering as if recalling a memory. "Just like your brother, my legs were also broken while I was fully conscious. I'm not great at comforting people. Over the past 20 years, I survived countless dangers through resilience and self-improvement, not useless self-pity. As long as I have the talent, I will pay any price to reach the top. Nobody can surpass me. Lyra, don't worry. I said I could cure your legs, and I definitely will." She looked up and smiled. "I believe you." She pulled a white handkerchief from her chest pocket, rolled her wheelchair closer, and used the handkerchief to wipe the blood off my hands. "It seems you're not as comfortable in the Vance family as you said." I watched her actions, my suspicion turning into a smile. "Very comfortable. See, I just smoothly dealt with someone," I joked. She smiled. I asked again, "And you? How did you end up getting your legs broken here? In the mood for story time?" "I'm free right now, not in a rush to head back to the Vance estate." I stood behind her and pushed her wheelchair. She looked down and smiled softly. "If you want to know, I can tell you." "Of course I want to know. Tell it in detail so I can understand you better." She meticulously wiped my hands. I teased her. "Have you ever done this for Asher?" She didn't stop her hands. "No." Her assistant, Bastian, immediately confirmed. "The young miss truly never has." I continued joking. "Even if you did do it for him, your assistant wouldn't necessarily know." Bastian smiled and admitted, "You are the first." Lyra threw the blood-stained handkerchief away and pushed the wheelchair slightly away. She looked at me, her gaze unwavering. "It's my absolute honor," I replied. "The honor is mine." Lyra looked at Orion lying on the ground. "He's the eldest young master of the Vance family. How are you going to explain crippling his leg when you go back?" I shrugged. "How about I poison him mute and chop off both his hands? That way the secret won't get out." Hearing this, Orion panicked and dragged his crippled right leg crawling toward the door. "Really?" Lyra laughed. "That's a good idea. But if you don't mind, just leave him to me. This is my family's business, I shouldn't bother you," she continued. "In the future, I am your fiancé. Isn't your business my business?" "Good point," I laughed. I was starting to doubt it. "This is the first time you've treated a man this well." I walked over to Orion, blocked his path, took a small porcelain bottle from my pocket, and forced him to swallow a pill. He coughed violently, trying to spit it out, but it was useless. The pill had already dissolved in his mouth, spreading a sweet taste. "What did you just feed me?" He knew I wouldn't feed him anything good. "It's just a non-lethal poison, but when it flares up, it'll make you wish you were dead. If you obediently listen to me, I'll periodically give you the antidote. Otherwise, enjoy the agony yourself." Orion didn't believe it. "I've never heard of a poison that powerful." Before he could finish, I snapped my fingers. He instantly felt as if his internal organs were being squeezed and crushed, the pain worse than death. When the pain subsided, he was deathly pale, gritting his teeth, furious but too terrified to speak. It seemed his life was truly in my hands now. Thinking of this, Orion closed his eyes in utter despair. I clapped my hands. "Orion is badly injured now. He can't go back to the Vance family right away. Let's let him stay with you for a bit. I'll come pick him up tomorrow, okay?" Lyra signaled Bastian, who walked over, bent down and hoisted Orion onto his shoulder, walking out of the factory. The 4 bodyguards Orion brought were also taken away by Bastian. The abandoned factory was now left with just me and Lyra. "All right, no one to disturb us now. Tell me your story. I'm very curious about you." Lyra smiled. Okay, but this place is a bit of a buzzkill. Let me take you somewhere more peaceful, I readily agreed. The peaceful place Lyra mentioned was located in the distant suburbs, nestled between mountains and next to a babbling stream. Not far from the stream was a cool pavilion. You didn't build this pavilion yourself, did you? I leaned against a stone pillar, enjoying the evening breeze, stretching comfortably. Lyra nodded. When I'm in a bad mood, I often come here to sit. Well, before my legs were crippled, what could possibly make you sad? You come from a wealthy family living a carefree life. Is it having too much money and not knowing how to spend it? I tilted my head to look at the girl by the stone table. The sunset illuminated her delicate face, the pale golden light shimmering on her cheeks, making one's heart skip a beat. She chuckled at my words. That's true. Before this, my life was smooth sailing. I never faced any real hardships. My only worries were when the company didn't meet expectations. Lyra sighed, giving a bitter smile. Until this accident, my legs were crippled and everything around me seemed to change. The respect and care from before vanished, replaced only by mockery and alienation. Looking at the smiles they give me now, I always feel they are incredibly fake. I shrugged. That's normal. When people fall from the peak to the bottom, kindness disappears, leaving only people throwing stones down the well. Loyalty during hardships is what's truly valuable. Lyra looked at me. Like you, others avoid me, but you accept me. I laughed out loud. I don't count as helping during hardships. It's just a mutual benefit. I'm after your looks and you have something I need. Saying that, I walked over and bent down. Let me see how your legs are doing, Lyra joked. I should be glad my legs were broken, rather than my face being ruined. I pulled up her pant leg to check the injuries. Makes sense. Lyra chuckled softly and began telling her story. The Astor family was massive. Her father's generation had 7 siblings. Her father, Gideon Astor, was the youngest and also considered the most incompetent, until she revealed her talents and gained Grandpa Astor's favor, improving her father's status. I have a younger brother, 5 years younger than me. Right after he was born, a fortune teller told my grandpa that he would negatively affect the Astor family's destiny. My grandpa is superstitious. Ignoring my mother's objections, he sent my brother away. Aside from my grandpa and father, no one knew where he was sent. My mother became depressed over this and passed away from illness not long after. Thanks to her talent, she gained Grandpa's recognition and used the opportunity to suggest bringing her brother back. 3 years ago, she finally brought Kaylin back, along with a girl from the orphanage named Nia. Although Nia wasn't my biological sister, she was always by Kaylin's side, so I treated her like a real sister. A month ago, Nia was kidnapped. The other party demanded I come alone. I wasn't stupid enough to actually go alone, so I arranged for people to secretly follow me. But I didn't expect my plan to be leaked to the enemy. At the time, I didn't have time to figure out who the mole was. I just thought about saving Nia. Ultimately, I still went alone. She was brought to the abandoned factory we were just at, where her legs were broken and she was tossed aside. Fortunately, Bastian arrived with people in time to save both her and Nia. I pondered and asked, listening to this, it sounds like the other party specifically targeted you. What were the results of the investigation? Lyra gave a bitter smile. At first, we suspected a mole, but eventually we discovered the person behind it. Might be Kaylin, my own biological brother. She paused, a flash of pain in her eyes. At first, I didn't understand why he did it. But after locking myself in a room and thinking day and night, I roughly figured it out. Maybe he felt it was unfair. Why did I get to live a luxurious life in the Astor family while he had to grow up in an orphanage? So what are you going to do? Take revenge on your biological brother? My eyes were sharp and cold. To me, no one is more important than myself. If that guy respected and loved you, why would he do such a thing? Since he harmed you, he deserves to go to hell. Bloodlines mean nothing to me. I only care about those who are truly sincere to me. A dangerous glint flashed in Lyra's eyes. No wonder you were so comfortable dealing with your own brother. I nodded firmly. Exactly. If he can't tolerate me, why should I go easy on him? Lyra stayed silent for a moment, deep in thought, then smiled in relief. I originally came today wanting to clear up a few things. But seeing how you handle things, I already know what I must do, I said with satisfaction. It's good that you understand. Lyra looked at me, her eyes carrying a determination and gentleness I hadn't seen before. Sterling, meeting you is truly my greatest fortune. I paused, my fingers subconsciously curling and touching my lips. I coughed lightly twice, trying to hide a hint of embarrassment in my heart, pretending to be relaxed. Why say this so seriously? Lyra smiled. Not serious? I was afraid you'd suspect I treat everyone this well, not just you. Are you learning how to tease me now? I realized her previous fake serious demeanor must have been an act. Truly, he who lies with dogs rises with fleas. Or in this case, he who is near ink gets stained black, near light gets illuminated. After checking her legs, I stood up and clapped my hands. Done. I've done a preliminary check on your legs. Meet me here at noon tomorrow, and I'll start your treatment. It's getting late, and I have important business to attend to tonight. I can't stay with you. Lyra's eyes showed a hint of reluctance, but she still smiled. Okay, see you tomorrow. At 7 p.m., Alara and Alaric returned from outside. After buying things to prepare for the welcome banquet, they hadn't seen me for a while, and no one answered my phone. Seeing the maid, Martha, walking across the courtyard, they hurriedly called her. Martha, have you seen Sterling? Martha answered honestly, no, madam. But at noon, the second madam came and argued with the young master. Then she left. After that, I was busy with chores and don't know where the young master went. Hearing that Beatrix had come looking for me, Alara was worried. What exactly is going on with those two? Initially, they clearly didn't want to claim Sterling, but now that he wants to cut ties, they keep pestering him. Alara was already annoyed with Reginald and Beatrix. Could they really be afraid that if we adopt Sterling, he'll fight for Grandpa's inheritance? Alara, don't worry. Sterling is a child with a mind of his own. He'll be fine. Alaric held his wife's hand to comfort her. But it's so late. If he's fine, he should have let us know. Alara called my number again. But still, no one answered. She decided to go ask Beatrix. Arriving at the West Villa, they ran into Beatrix's family just walking out. Beatrix greeted them. Big brother, sister-in-law, did you come looking for us? Perfect timing. We are heading to the ancestral hall to sign the severing ties agreement with Sterling. Hold on, Alara questioned Beatrix. You went looking for Sterling at noon today, didn't you? Beatrix nodded. Yes, so what? I was just giving him a chance to acknowledge us again. Sterling is missing. His phone is unreachable. Did you say something to him? Beatrix got annoyed. Sister-in-law, what do you mean by that? What does him being missing have to do with me? Are you suspecting I kidnapped him? Asher, standing behind, had a flash of smugness in his eyes. Serafina chimed in. Auntie, I think he probably regrets it. He didn't want to sign the severing ties agreement, so he ran away. Sterling is really missing? I'm worried about him, Alara said anxiously. Beatrix sneered. Big brother, sister-in-law, it seems compared to you two, Sterling still prefers to acknowledge us as his biological parents. You wasted your efforts treating him well, only to be let down. Asher gloated internally, wishing the severing ties agreement would be signed sooner. Alara's face looked terrible. Beatrix, I'm not joking. Sterling is my son now. If anything happens to him, I won't let you off, threatened. Beatrix shot back angrily. Who's afraid of who? You're just a hen that can't lay eggs, only knowing how to steal other people's children, and you dare come to my door to lecture me. Hearing this, Alaric's face turned dark, his voice icy cold. Reginald, control your wife better. After the Sterling incident, Reginald didn't mind tearing up his relationship with his older brother. Big brother, Beatrix isn't wrong. You two don't have children. The problem is either with sister-in-law or you. Alara only cared about my safety, ignoring the sarcasm. If something happens to Sterling, don't even dream of living in peace. Who are you scaring with that fake loving mother act? Stop pretending. If something happens to him, he brought it upon himself. What does it have to do with me? Beatrix refused to yield. Alaric wrapped his arm around Alara's shoulders and glared coldly at Reginald. Reginald, in the past, I only cared about Alara. I yielded everything in the family to you and your children. But now it seems Sterling was right. You people don't deserve it. From now on, I will fight for everything that belongs to me in the Vance family and leave it all to Sterling. I absolutely won't yield to you anymore. Reginald smiled coldly. Big brother, if you can't fight for it, so be it. Why talk about yielding? You two don't have a child. What are you going to use to fight? Are you solely relying on the son we tossed away? Whatever weight second uncle carries, that's exactly what I carry. An arrogant voice rang out. Everyone turned around to see me safe and sound. Alara and Alaric rushed over. Sterling, where did you go? Are you okay? You didn't answer your phone. You scared Mom to death. Alara grabbed my shoulders, checking me all over, afraid I was hurt. I smiled. I'm fine. Mom, I've been back for 3 days and just wanted to take a walk outside, but I lost track of time. Alara checked thoroughly and, confirming I was fine, breathed a sigh of relief. Why didn't you answer your phone? I acted helpless. I accidentally dropped my phone and lost it. Truth was, I dropped my phone when Orion took me away. On the way back after parting with Lyra, I realized it was gone. I guessed my new parents were surely worried, but I didn't expect them to go this far, marching straight to Reginald's house to settle the score. Their genuine dedication truly moved me. Alara sighed in relief. It's good that you're okay. Asher frowned, thinking, how can this be? Big brother Orion personally took him away. How did he come back safely? Could Big Brother have been persuaded by him, unable to harm his biological brother? Beatrix snorted coldly. See, your son is back. He's perfectly fine. You came to my door to cause a scene for no reason. Absolutely unreasonable. Alara, unable to stand Beatrix's family looking down on me, pulled my hand. Sterling, let's go quickly. Let's go sign the severing ties agreement. Seeing my new mother even more eager than me, I burst out laughing. Yes, Mom. Beatrix also huffed aggressively. Sign it then. Let's see who regrets it later. At the Vance family's ancestral hall, witnessed by Grandpa Vance, I stood before the ancestral tablets and resolutely signed my name on the agreement to sever ties. Your turn, I smiled brightly. Reginald and Beatrix didn't hesitate, signing their names on the agreement one by one. I picked up a copy of the agreement. From now on, I am completely severed from you people. No more contact. Beatrix slammed the pen on the table. I'll be watching to see what kind of joke you uncle and auntie end up making. I smiled radiantly. Second aunt, did you forget what I told you at noon? Tell your son to be a little careful. Beatrix's face changed, but she snorted coldly. Daydreaming, as if I'd believe you. Grandpa Vance raised his hand, his authoritative gaze sweeping over his two sons. All right, I called you two brothers to the ancestral hall today. First, because Sterling wanted to cut ties with you. Second, regarding the Vance family's assets. Reginald's spirit instantly lifted. Grandpa Vance continued, I'm old, I don't know how many years I have left. Some things must be made clear. As for the Vance family's assets, the capable ones will get more. The useless ones should just behave and not cause trouble in the Vance family. At least you'll live a carefree life. Reginald glanced at his older brother and smiled. Big brother, did you hear that? The useless ones should just behave. At least they'll live a carefree life. Before Alaric could reply, I gave Reginald a look of sheer contempt. Jumping around like a clown. Sterling! Reginald frowned. Second uncle, don't yell at me. You don't have the right. I waved the freshly signed agreement in the air. Grandpa Vance said, All right, the rest of you can leave first. I want a few private words with Sterling. Leaving the ancestral hall, Reginald looked at his brother with a helpless tone. Big brother, did you understand what Dad just said? I now control Vance Pharmaceuticals, the core of the Vance family. Orion manages Starlight Media. Serafina just debuted and has a hit album everywhere. Big brother, what are you going to use to fight me for the assets? The Vance family's fortune will definitely belong to my branch. Alaric reminded him. Dad isn't dead yet, don't celebrate too early. Reginald laughed and patted his brother's shoulder. Your mindset is truly excellent. No worries. Just pray Dad lives a few more years so you can enjoy the Vance family's luxury a bit longer. Watching their backs, Alara sighed. If Sterling hadn't come back, I wouldn't have known this family could be so cold and ruthless. Alaric pondered. I was too naive before. I thought brothers shouldn't fight to the death over inheritance. If second brother wanted money and status, I yielded. But it's different now, Alara. For Sterling, I have to fight. Alara looked at me inside the ancestral hall, her eyes gentle yet firm. We might not care, but we can't let Sterling suffer. I just want to give him the best things in the world. Inside the ancestral hall, Grandpa Vance stood before the ancestral tablets, looking at me seriously. Suddenly, he said, Sterling, since returning to the Vance family, you adopted your eldest uncle and aunt as your parents. You are now a wealthy young master of the Vance family. I am not a fool like your second uncle, treating another man's son as a treasure. I nodded. Yes, Grandpa, I am the true young master of the Vance family. After hearing Asher's audio recording yesterday, Grandpa Vance had pondered for a long time before sighing. Compared to Asher, you only studied up to middle school before dropping out. Now, even if I have ways to get you into a prestigious university, it's useless. I can't force you to study from high school again. So, what are your plans? What do you want to learn? Or what are your plans for your life? He continued. Asher was groomed by your biological parents into a famous genius in the whole country. That's why they didn't want to abandon him. This nonsense about 20 years of feelings is just garbage. I understood his meaning. To stand firm in the Vance family, I had to surpass Asher. Honestly, I dropped out because the knowledge in school books was something I grasped just by skimming. Being in school was a waste of time. I had someone buy textbooks for me, and by 16, I had self-taught the entire high school curriculum and the university subjects I liked, plus a ton of other skills. The wealthy circle is a place that eats people without spitting out their bones. To be respected and revered, one must have true capabilities to make others value them. This is the first lesson Grandpa is teaching you upon your return as my biological grandson. Grandpa Vance looked at me strictly. I smiled. Grandpa, I understand. This place is much easier to survive in than my previous environment. I know how to survive. The things Asher knows are just for pleasing others, but I know things that will make others beg me. He was slightly surprised. What do you know? Grandpa, it's a long story. I know many things, like medicine, for instance. Grandpa Vance's eyes showed suspicion. He had investigated and knew I lived in the countryside, selling medicine and treating illnesses. It seems you don't feel you are inferior to Asher at all. I wasn't about to show weakness. Of course, Grandpa. Not only do I want to surpass Asher, but also Orion and Serafina. If I have the capability, would you consider handing over Vance Pharmaceuticals and Starlight Media to me? Grandpa Vance was surprised I dared to speak so arrogantly. Could he truly have the skills? Currently, the Vance family was declining because the younger generation wasn't outstanding enough. The eldest son had capability but lacked ambition. The second son had great ambition but poor capability, often ruining things. Among the grandchildren, Orion and Serafina had some talent, but not enough to lead the Vance family far, forcing the family to rely on arranged marriages to expand its power. Grandpa Vance thought deeply, then said, If you truly have the capability to surpass your father and your cousin, I can hand over both Vance Pharmaceuticals and Starlight Media to you. Grandpa must keep his word, I said seriously. Of course, I won't look down on you just because you are young. As long as you have the ability, in the future, you can inherit and manage the entire Vance family. He waved his hand. All right, go now, it's late. Go back and rest with your parents. Grandpa is retiring early too. I offered a polite remark and left the ancestral hall. Grandpa Vance watched my retreating figure, sighed and said, to the head butler, This grandson is truly cold, without an ounce of human warmth. The head butler smiled. The young master is indeed smart, but having gone through many hardships, he naturally cannot tolerate a grain of sand in his eye. It's understandable. After all, wandering alone outside for 20 years, one doesn't survive on human warmth alone. Grandpa Vance looked into the distance, his eyes deep, his heart full of expectations. I want to see what this grandson is truly capable of achieving. Alara and Alaric were worried and waited for me in the pavilion outside the ancestral hall. Seeing me walk out, Alara hurriedly approached. Sterling, what did Grandpa say to you? Nothing much. Just asked what I wanted to learn and my plans for the future. I smiled. She sighed in relief. So how did you answer? I said calmly. I said if I can surpass Reginald and Orion, will he hand over Vance Pharmaceuticals and Starlight Media to me? Both were shocked. Alara burst out laughing. Mom thought you'd want to learn music, chess, calligraphy, or painting. Mom, I don't just think about those things. Only when we grasp the Vance family's assets will our future be secure. Alaric nodded. I think so too. Alara and I originally didn't care about the family assets, but it's different now. Having you, we must fight for it so you have more security. I smiled. Exactly. I want the entire Vance family fortune to ensure our future. Night fell. As soon as Lyra entered the door, she heard Kaylin's voice. Eldest sister, you're back so late. Bastian turned the wheelchair. Kaylin and Naya approached. Naya looked at Lyra, a hint of gloating in her eyes. Lyra ignored the look. Naya smiled faintly. Just went out for some fresh air. Kaylin looked at Lyra's legs, acting worried. Eldest sister, you should go out less in the future. What if you run into an accident again? Nia pretended to feel guilty. It's all my fault. If it weren't for saving me, eldest sister wouldn't have crippled her legs. The engagement with the Vance family's young master will be announced next week. I wonder if, with this condition, the Vance family will cancel the engagement. Would they still want to marry their young master to eldest sister? She continued. After all, there are rumors outside that eldest sister didn't just break her legs, but also lost her ability to have children. The position of the Astor family's heir, I'm afraid. Kaylin pretended to be angry and scolded softly. Nia, what nonsense are you talking about? She quickly covered her mouth, pretending to apologize. Oh, I'm sorry, eldest sister. I didn't mean it. I'm just worried about your lifelong happiness. If the Vance family cancels the engagement, not only will you lose face, but the Astor family will be embarrassed too. Kaylin warned her again, looking strict but not truly blaming her. Naya stuck out her tongue playfully, pretending to obediently admit her mistake. Okay, I'll stop talking. Kaylin shook his head helplessly and sighed. Eldest sister, Nia's been spoiled by us. She's getting more and more unruly. Expectedly, Lyra smiled, indeed. Ever since I became a cripple, Nia has become increasingly out of line, speaking without thinking. She even dares to comment on whether I can have children or not. You've forgotten that you are merely an adopted child of the Astor family. You need to relearn the rules. Nia was stunned. She didn't expect Lyra to be so strict today. Hearing that she was just an adopted child and needed to learn rules, she felt highly uncomfortable. Eldest sister, I will discipline Naya later, Kaylin said. Before Kaylin could finish, Lyra interrupted, her voice gentle but icy. No need for later. Right now. Bastian let go of the wheelchair, stepped in front of Naya, and under her bewildered gaze, slapped her hard across the face. Naya screamed and fell to the floor, holding her face in disbelief, staring at Bastian. Lyra looked down at her gently. Nia, don't think that just because you've been called the third miss of the Astor family for a long time, you truly consider yourself the third miss. You are just an orphan Kaylin brought back. If I hadn't taken pity and agreed to let you and Kaylin stay, you'd still be fighting for scraps at the orphanage. Kaylin narrowed his eyes, a cold glint flashing, but quickly returned to his bright smile. Eldest sister has always loved Nia. This time she was just joking. Why are you so angry, eldest sister? Lyra kept her faint smile, her tone leisurely. It's only a joke when I find it funny. If I'm not happy, it's not a joke. Just like a dog I raise, it's only allowed to bark when I permit it. Nia was humiliated, her eyes wide with anger and indignation, but she only dared to suppress her fury, not daring to talk back. Kaylin's voice grew stern. Did you hear that, Nia? Don't make random jokes in front of eldest sister in the future. Nia held her burning cheek, unable to speak, only nodding. Lyra smiled gently. It's good that you know your mistake. Don't do it again. She signaled Bastian to turn the wheelchair and push her to the backyard. Bastian felt indignant. Nia is truly biting the hand that feeds her. If it weren't for Miss taking pity on her as an orphan, how could she become the third miss of the Astor family? Now, seeing the master delaying the heir announcement because of Miss's legs, she dares to act arrogant. And the second young master. He was sent away by the master because a fortune teller said he was a jinx. If Miss hadn't begged the master, he'd still be out there. Yet he has no gratitude, and even blames Miss for being ruthless in fighting for the heir position. Lyra dropped her smile, her fingers stroking the wheelchair's armrest. I can't understand it. We are biological siblings. Why does Kaylin hate me so much? If it's for the position of the Astor family's heir, if I knew he wanted it, I'd gladly step aside. But he wants my life just to fight for it. Then don't blame me for showing no mercy. In another corner, Nia was furious. Brother! How dare she hit me? And she said I'm not the third miss of the Astor family. I am clearly father's biological daughter. Brother, when can I publicly reveal my identity? Kaylin patted her shoulder to comfort her. Nia, don't rush. Nia teared up. How can I not rush? Today Lyra spoke so contemptuously to me. Kaylin softened his voice. Nia, endure it a little longer. Wait until I secure the heir position and deal with Lyra. You will rightfully be the third miss of the Astor family. Nia tightly grasped Kaylin's hand, tears rolling down. Brother, you must kill Lyra. Of course I will avenge you for this. Kaylin sighed. But we can't make a move right now. Lyra already suspects I'm behind it. Making a move won't be easy. We need a long-term plan. Nia was full of resentment. Lyra is so lucky, we couldn't kill her last time. Kaylin was calm. It doesn't matter. Anyway, Grandpa hasn't announced the heir, which shows he is hesitating about letting Lyra continue as the heir. Our goal is already half achieved. Nia nodded, her eyes malicious. She's already a cripple. Grandpa isn't crazy enough to let a cripple be the heir. Kaylin was confident. Nia, hold on a little longer. We are about to succeed. Back in my room, I put the severing ties agreement in my desk drawer, then went into the bathroom for a comfortable soak. After bathing Snowtooback, my pet snake, wrapped its tail around a red phone, slithered in through the window and placed the phone next to me. I sat on the bed drying my hair, picked up the phone and smiled, praising, "Good job, Snow." Snow, happy to be praised, spun around a few times on the bed before slithering off to show off to Obsidian, Tealhawk, and Jade Tealuk. My 3 little pet snakes all had their specialties. Obsidian was great at ambushes and poisoning. Snow excelled at tracking and searching. After drying my hair, I picked up the phone again and saw a text from an unknown number. "Sterling, if you dare block my number again, you will forever lose the chance to be my boyfriend. This Saturday night, I am attending the welcome banquet for the Vance family's true young master. You've probably never seen such a grand banquet, right? If you still want to be my boyfriend, come to Kim City High-Speed Railway Station and act as my personal assistant. I will take you inside. Remember, this is your last chance." I sank into deep self-doubt. Why did I ever save Priscilla's life back then? Letting her rot on the street would have been so much better. The most humiliating part is that I once thought she was decent and dated her for 2 months. This will forever be the biggest stain on my life. But what a coincidence, my own welcome banquet actually invited Priscilla. I wanted to see her expression when she finds out I am the true young master of the Vance family. I didn't bother calling her an idiot before blocking her this time. I just replied, "Okay, noon tomorrow, high-speed rail station." I thought to myself, just wait. Wait until you rot, and I still won't show up. Lying on the bed, I received a news notification. Rumor, heir of a top wealthy family in Kim City unable to reproduce. I forwarded the link to Lyra. Soon, Lyra replied with a smiling emoji, then a confused emoji, and finally, "Don't believe it." Seeing Lyra in a hurry, I was about to text, "Don't worry, I can cure you," but quickly deleted it. Honestly, I didn't care if Lyra could have children or not. To me, marriage doesn't strictly require having children. There are plenty of other things to do in life. I sent an encouraging emoji. "I believe you." Lyra quickly replied, "Are family matters settled?" I got up, took the severing ties agreement from the drawer, took a photo and sent it. "Done." Lyra read the message and laughed, thinking my actions were decisive. Having just returned to the Vance family for a few days, I had already cut ties with my biological parents. She texted back, "By cutting ties with Reginald, won't he kick you out of the Vance family?" I replied, "I adopted my eldest uncle and aunt as my parents. They treat me genuinely well. To me now, they are my biological parents." Lyra smiled as she read the message. Indeed, not all biological parents truly love their children. She shared, "It's like my side. My father doesn't like me much, especially after bringing Kaylin back. He clearly cares more about him. But I don't mind. After all, Kaylin suffered a lot outside, so it's normal for a father to compensate him. I just didn't expect him to want my life." Looking at the screen, I replied with a hug emoji, then joked, "In the future when we get married, whoever dares to bully my wife, I will kill them." Lyra chuckled softly. I continued teasing, "Madam, rest assured, I will protect you thoroughly. I only hope Madam serves me well to repay the favor." Ending the chat with Lyra, I called Wraith, Daang. "Boss, how does it feel returning to the Vance family? Very interesting, I assume." "Wraith, help me investigate the Vance family's industries and their management situation." Wraith agreed. "Got it." I fell asleep and dreamt of pinning Lyra down. My fingers lightly traced her soft skin from her chest down to her stomach. Every touch made her tremble slightly. Her eyes sparkled with a fiery light. Lyra looked at me gently and whispered, "Sterling, if you like it, touch more." I smirked wickedly. "Of course I like it. I'll touch you every day from now on." Her voice was full of pampering. "My whole body. Wherever you like, I'll let you touch." I winked. Little Lyra is so obedient. She leaned close to my ear and whispered, "I'm this obedient, shouldn't you reward me a little?" "All right." I bent down and lightly bit her neck. Lyra's breathing quickened, holding me tightly as if wanting to melt into me. But suddenly my face felt itchy. I opened my eyes. It turned out to be Obsidian, Snow, and Jade using their heads to rub against my face. I sighed helplessly, let out a long yawn, and pushed them away. Seeing me awake, the 3 snakes got excited and wriggled around, clearly demanding food. I got up, went to the cabinet for food, but found the freeze-dried spiders were almost gone. I poured the rest onto the table. I grabbed all 3 snakes. "Eat up. Tonight I'll take you out for a buffet." The 3 snakes happily gobbled up the freeze-dried spiders. I sat watching them eat, my mind still drifting, still lingering on the unfinished dream. I just tried closing my eyes, hoping to continue the dream, but couldn't fall back into it. Opening my eyes helplessly, I thought, whatever. After marrying Lyra, we can be as intimate as we want anyway. While eating breakfast with my new parents, the head butler arrived. "Sir, madam," the master asked the young master to come to the main hall in a bit. Alaric wondered, "What's the matter?" The head butler replied, Regarding the arranged marriage between the Vance family and the Astor family, I raised an eyebrow, thinking finally, here it comes. After the head butler left, Alara looked at me seriously. Sterling, second uncle and second aunt will definitely use your status as the Vance family's young master to tell Grandpa to have you replace Asher in the marriage with Lyra. Mom is asking you one more time. Are you absolutely sure you want to marry Lyra? I nodded without hesitation, remembering that intimate dream I whispered as an add-on. I even hope to marry her as soon as possible so we can legally be intimate. Alara didn't hear the last part clearly. What? I shook my head. Nothing. I'm just confirming 100% that I want to marry Lyra. Seeing my unwavering gaze, Alara knew I was determined and didn't say anything more. Mom and Dad have said we will support any decision you make. Arriving at the main hall, Beatrix, Asher, and Serafina were already waiting. Seeing me, Asher looked smug. Beatrix said, Sterling, you're here? You returned to the Vance family at a great time. Just came back and already get to use the title of Vance family young master to marry the eldest lady of the Astor family. Alara immediately mocked. You are really good at lying through your teeth. If the eldest lady of the Astor family hadn't gotten into an accident and broken her legs last month, would you even consider letting Sterling marry her? When we brought Sterling back, you weren't this proactive. Now that you want Sterling to replace your adopted son in marrying Lyra, you're suddenly so enthusiastic. Beatrix heard the sarcasm, but since the severing ties agreement was already signed, she didn't need to pretend. She replied bluntly, Speaking of which, sister-in-law, you should thank me. I let you and Big Brother go pick up Sterling, and now hasn't he acknowledged you as his mother? Consider your wish for a child fulfilled. Alara wasn't angry. Instead, she smiled genuinely. Indeed. Thank you and second brother for letting me be Sterling's mother. Beatrix saw her acting this way and thought she was just putting up a tough front. What I threw away you consider a blessing, Serafina said contemptuously. Compared to Asher, he's far inferior. I sneered. Why do you guys naturally assume I'm inferior to Asher? Serafina replied, Isn't it obvious? What do you know? What does Asher know? Asher is a famous prodigy in Kim City. Do you think you can compare? I bet whatever he knows, I know too. It's just music, chess, calligraphy, painting, and mastering a few foreign languages. You spent so much money and effort raising the enemy's switched child. Is that something to be so proud of? Mentioning the swap made Serafina look ugly. No matter how dissatisfied you are, Asher is more outstanding than you. That's a fact. You can only smear him by bringing up his terrible mother. No, I don't think his mother is terrible at all. His mother truly treated her son well, daring to commit a crime just so her son could have a good life. Compared to second aunt who despises even her own biological son and refuses to claim him, she's much better. I feigned admiration. Serafina and Beatrix were choked by my words, unable to rebut. Asher spoke up. Brother Sterling, if you want to learn, I am willing to teach you. I glanced at him. Then perform for me right now. Let's see if you're qualified to teach me. Challenged by me, Asher was speechless. Is he joking? Asking me to perform right now? How is this different from making me look like a clown? He suppressed his anger, maintaining a polite smile. Saturday night is the welcome banquet. If Brother Sterling wants to see me perform, I'm willing to consider it a gift to you. I chuckled lightly. A gift to me? Or do you just want to use the opportunity in front of everyone to prove you're better than me? Asher smiled, a sly glint in his eyes. If Brother Sterling thinks that way, there's nothing I can do, Serafina mocked. He's just afraid you'll steal his spotlight at the welcome banquet. I shrugged nonchalantly. You think too much. At my welcome banquet, no one can steal my spotlight. Serafina laughed coldly, her eyes full of disdain. I just hope you don't embarrass the Vance family, and you still want to shine? I smirked, my eyes flashing with confidence. Just wait and see. See how I blind you all. Grandpa Vance slowly walked in, supported by the head butler. His steps were slightly shaky, but his gaze was still sharp. Entering the living room, he swept his eyes around. What are you children talking about? Seeing him, Serafina immediately snitched. Grandpa, look at him. Asher wants to perform at the welcome banquet as a gift for Sterling, but he doesn't appreciate it at all. I shrugged innocently. Don't falsely accuse me in front of Grandpa. I was just wondering if he wanted to use the opportunity to show off. I never said I wouldn't accept it. Serafina frowned. So what do you mean? I smirked faintly. My meaning is simple. If Asher wants to perform at the welcome banquet, let him perform as much as he wants. After all, it's a way to welcome me. Serafina was surprised. She thought I would object, never expecting me to agree so easily. She started calculating, wondering what scheme I was plotting. But looking at my face, she couldn't find a single clue. Grandpa Vance spoke up. All right, I called you all here today because of the arranged marriage with the Astor family. He looked at me. You know the Astor family is a top-tier wealthy family in Kim City. Marrying them holds great significance for the Vance family. Even though the eldest lady of the Astor family broke her legs, it doesn't affect their status. Moreover, countless wealthy families are jealous that we get to ally with the Astor family. I just nodded slightly. Grandpa Vance continued, So, are you willing to marry the eldest lady of the Astor family? He paused for a moment and added, Actually, if the eldest lady of the Astor family doesn't mind that Asher is just an adopted son and agrees to continue the marriage with him, there's no need to replace him with you. Asher looked visibly tense, but I smiled. It's fine, Grandpa, I am willing. Grandpa Vance frowned, confirming, Are you sure? I nodded. Yes, absolutely sure. Beatrix was thrilled. She originally thought it would take a lot of convincing, never expecting me to agree so easily. Seeing my straightforward answer, Grandpa Vance couldn't figure out what I was thinking, but he said, "All right then, the matter is settled. I will find a time to inform the Astor family." "Yes, before the engagement banquet, you can try to get to know the eldest lady of the Astor family better," I calmly replied. "Yes, Grandpa." As soon as Grandpa Vance left, Serafina mocked. "Sterling, with your conditions, marrying the eldest lady of the Astor family is already climbing the social ladder. If she were healthy, this opportunity wouldn't even fall to you." I didn't care and huffed lightly. "Asher, this fake young master, marrying Lyra would be climbing the social ladder. Let alone the fact that Lyra and I are a perfect match, a match made in heaven. It's a pity Asher doesn't know what's good for him. Just because Lyra is crippled, he thinks she can't be the heir and wants to cancel the engagement." I also told Serafina to stay away from me when she speaks in the future, lest her words pollute my ears. Then I happily grabbed Alara and Alaric's hands. "Mom, Dad, let's go! Let's prepare for my welcome banquet." Alara and Alaric were full of doting affection. "Okay, our son will be the most radiant prince that night. No one can steal your spotlight." Serafina stared at the backs of the three of us, muttering coldly, "Let's see how you make a fool of yourself at the welcome banquet." She turned to Asher. "Asher, that night you must perform exceptionally well. Suppress his aura so he knows he is useless." Despite saying that, Asher knew he was no longer the true young master. He worried that doing so would disappoint his adoptive parents in the Vance family and feared angering Grandpa. But Beatrix didn't care. "It's fine, just do it. As long as it makes them angry, it's good." Saturday night. The invitations to the welcome banquet had been sent. Alaric decorated the banquet venue with the finest materials, preparing everything meticulously, wanting to show the outside world how much they valued me, their son. Despite the perfect setup, Alaric still worried he missed something, asking me about the layout and my outfit. Hearing my affirmation, he was proud. "I chose only the most expensive things. I guarantee when you appear, everyone will be in awe." I went to meet Lyra. Today officially began her leg treatment. Orion leaned against a pillar of the pavilion, his face full of annoyance, but I ignored him. Sitting next to Lyra, I said, "Today we begin treating your legs. The process will be a bit painful, but if you endure it, there will be results in 3 months. Lyra nodded eagerly. "Okay, go ahead." Knowing the person who harmed her was her own biological brother, she felt no physical pain could be unbearable. I looked at her, my eyes flashing with admiration. Truly worthy of being the woman I chose to cure Lyra's legs, not only did it require superb medical skills, but also the patient's cooperation and perseverance. Lyra's attitude made me very satisfied. The phrase "the woman I chose" made Lyra happy, her eyes twinkling with mild joy, completely unconcerned about how painful the treatment process would be. I placed my box of acupuncture needles and several bottles of medicinal powder on the stone table, gently pulling up Lyra's pant leg. Today she purposely wore a loose dress for the treatment. Glancing at her legs, I blurted out, "Your legs are really sexy." Lyra froze. Bastian, standing far away, almost choked. Lyra coughed, smiling awkwardly. "As long as you like them." I raised an eyebrow, my hand still working. "Of course I have to like them. If I didn't like them, why would I agree to get engaged to you?" Lyra was surprised. "The Vance family has already clarified our marriage arrangement?" I carefully inserted the needles, keeping my head down. "Grandpa mentioned it this morning," he said. "I am the true young master of the Vance family, so I should be the one marrying you." I agreed. "He also told me to find you often when I'm free so we can get close." Lyra agreed. "The master is right, we should meet more often to understand each other." I nodded. "Aren't we getting close right now?" "At least until your legs heal, we'll have to meet every day," Lyra joked. "So after my legs heal, does that mean we won't meet every day?" Watching me intently as I applied the needles, she smiled. I burst out laughing. "You just love parsing words, don't you? After your legs heal, if you still feel it's not enough, we can just bump up the wedding date. Wouldn't we still be seeing each other every day then?" Lyra smiled. "I think so too." During the treatment, she gradually felt intense pain in her legs, as if her bones were being broken piece by piece. Despite the pain, she gritted her teeth and didn't show it. She just didn't have the mind to converse anymore. Noticing her pain, I looked up. "If the pain is unbearable, don't force it. I have painkillers." Lyra, her face pale, shook her head. "No need. I want to remember this pain." I shrugged. "Suit yourself." Orion observed us, secretly curious. Lyra hasn't known him for long. Why is she so good to him? From her voice to her eyes, she was full of doting and affection, entirely different from the polite distance she kept with Asher. Could it be Lyra likes Sterling and has no feelings for Asher? 3 hours later, I pulled out all the dense silver needles from Lyra's legs, wrapped her knee joints in medicinal powder-soaked bandages, and stretched my body. Done for today. I secretly admired Lyra's endurance. This process was truly agonizing. Not bad for the woman I want to marry. Lyra wiped the sweat from her forehead, rubbing her legs, feeling the joints were less stiff. "If they can fully heal in 3 months, shall we plan the wedding for 3 months from now? What do you think?" I sat on the stone bench, sterilizing my needles. "Works for me. I'm just afraid when your legs heal, you'll regret it." But I wasn't worried. Even if Lyra regretted it, I always had ways to maintain the upper hand. Lyra said seriously, "Nonsense. In this life, I only choose you." I laughed out loud, putting the needles back in the box, flashing a bright smile. Then let's schedule the wedding after your legs are healed. Seeing my quick agreement, Lyra looked at me, her eyes sparkling with a gentle smile. Before this, arranged marriage was merely a tool. Marry whoever, as long as it benefits the family. She never thought there would come a day when she'd actually look forward to married life. How did you meet Lyra? Orion asked from the back seat on the way home. Driving, I glanced at him through the rearview mirror. Lyra actively sought me out. She likes me and wants to marry me. Orion laughed coldly. Do you really think Lyra wants to marry you? Now that she is a cripple, she doesn't want to drag Asher down, so she chose you as a backup option, I retorted. So now Lyra chose me as a backup? Weren't you guys the ones who brought me back so I could replace Asher and marry her? Hearing you say I want to marry her, why are you unhappy? Orion didn't deny that bringing me back was for me to replace Asher in the marriage, but he couldn't let Asher marry a crippled Lyra. As for me, the biological brother who had never lived a good life, being brought back and marrying someone like Lyra was already a massive favor. I smirked. Or maybe I should suggest to Grandpa that Asher marries her. Who knows, maybe Asher doesn't want to marry her because she's crippled, but looking at her, she clearly likes me more and has no interest in Asher. Orion snorted coldly. I don't know where you get your confidence. You're clearly far inferior to Asher. His expression of disdain was exactly like Seraphina's. I smirked. My confidence obviously has a basis, like how I am certain you won't dare tell anyone that I cut the tendon in your right leg. Hearing this, Orion's face looked terrible, his fists clenching tighter. Arriving back at the Vance estate, I stopped the car and glanced at the back seat. Get out. Don't tell me you can't walk anymore. Watching Orion endure the pain and humiliatingly step out of the car, I smirked with a half smile. Feeling resentful, who told you to come looking for trouble yesterday? If you hadn't, you wouldn't be in this state. Speaking of which, I remember Seraphina instigated you to do it. So if you want to blame someone, blame her for talking too much. She didn't dare come to me directly, so she used you as a scapegoat. At this moment, Seraphina and Asher's Porsche slowly pulled into the parking lot. Asher excitedly called out, "Big brother!" and quickly got out. Seeing me standing next to Orion, Seraphina was shocked. "Big brother? Why are you with Sterling?" I mocked, chiming in. "My biological brother just got back a few days ago. Whenever he has free time, Big brother comes to visit and care for me." Seraphina froze, realizing that earlier she had complained about Asher being bullied, so Orion went looking for me to settle the score. But she didn't expect me to be safe and sound. "We've cut ties. I don't have a brother like you," Seraphina said coldly. "I'm the one who cut ties with you. I don't need you people." I patted Orion's face and whispered, "Remember to listen to me, otherwise bear the consequences yourself." After I left, Seraphina was confused. "Big brother, aren't you going to settle the score with Sterling? How come not only is he fine, but he also dared to speak to you like that?" Orion's face was awful. The pain in his right leg almost made him unable to stand properly. Asher noticed something wrong and asked in shock, "Big brother, what's wrong with your leg?" Seraphina was shocked looking at his right leg. Orion roared, "Enough, stop asking." He dragged his crippled right leg and limped away with difficulty. Asher's eyes turned red with worry. "Could it be Sterling's doing?" Seraphina was furious. "It must be him. Earlier I went to Big brother. He definitely went to settle the score with Sterling, and as a result got hurt like this." Asher choked up. "What do we do now? Big brother's leg isn't truly crippled, is it?" Seraphina comforted him. "No matter how bold Sterling is, he wouldn't dare truly cripple Big brother's leg. I will investigate. If he really hurt him, our family will absolutely not let him off." In the living room, Beatrix saw Orion walk in and frowned. "What's wrong with your leg? Is it broken?" Orion's face was deathly pale. Beatrix worriedly wanted to check, but he impatiently waved his hand. "What are you looking at?" Panicked by his attitude, Beatrix could only silently feel wronged. Realizing his tone was too harsh, Orion took a deep breath to calm down. "Mom, call the Vance family doctor right now." Beatrix nodded, her hands trembling as she made the call, worried about her son's injury. Looking at Orion's reaction, it wasn't just a simple broken leg. Was he beaten by someone? Who would dare cripple her son's leg? She saw Seraphina and Asher return. She quickly asked, "Seraphina, Asher, do you know what happened to your big brother's leg?" Asher looked troubled. Seraphina gritted her teeth. "It must be that country bumpkin Sterling's doing." She recounted going to Starlight Media to complain about Asher being bullied, and just now in the parking lot seeing me disrespecting Orion. Beatrix was furious. "If it's really him, I won't let him off." Orion dragged his crippled leg back to his room, sitting on the bed looking at his severed right tendon, feeling powerless. His patience was running out. A knock on the door. "Orion, the doctor is here," Beatrix called from outside. "Yes." Orion was relieved, struggling to get up to open the door. "Mom, you go out first." Beatrix looked at him worriedly but still left. The door closed. The doctor looked at Orion's leg with concern. "Eldest young master, let me examine your leg." Orion shook his head seriously. "It's not just the leg. You need to check what poison I've been infected with." The doctor was startled, put down his medical kit and examined him thoroughly. The more he checked, the heavier his expression became. Finally, he sighed. "I apologize, eldest young master. I don't know what poison you've ingested." Orion's face turned ashen. He asked if there was medicine to suppress the poison's flare-ups. The doctor helplessly shook his head. I don't know what the poison is. How can I know what antidote to use? After the doctor left, Orion was desperate but didn't give up. He called Mr. Lin, the owner of Kim City's largest auction house, a man with wide connections. Mr. Lin, do you know anyone who is an expert at curing poisons? Mr. Lin replied. The best poison expert in the country is actually a master of using poisons, but meeting him is very difficult. He only appears at the auction house to sell new medicinal herbs. Every time the value is immense. Orion said urgently, as long as the poison can be cured, money is not an issue. Mr. Lin sighed, meeting him is not easy. I can only promise that the next time he comes to the auction, I'll let you know. Orion hung up, gripping his phone tightly, his heart filled with anger and resentment. He swore that once he was cured of the poison, he would make me pay. At the same time, I was packing the dried herbs in the villa. My phone rang. It was Wraith reporting on the Vance family's companies. The Vance family's revenue mainly comes from Vance Pharmaceuticals, but under Reginald's management, the company is declining. Orion Starlight Media has some achievements but lacks an explosive hit. Wraith laughed. I heard Orion wants to buy the copyright to Lily Evergreen's final novel, but he doesn't know that boss is actually Lily Evergreen. I laughed loudly, asking, is he doing anything else? Wraith replied, he and a friend are planning to invest in green sprout tech. I was very interested. Oh, I had spent time researching alongside my medicinal herbs and registered several patents. I planned to transfer these patents to Green Sprout Tech in the future to help the company grow rapidly. Thinking of this, the corners of my mouth curled up. The Vance family's assets were held by Reginald's family, but now I held the winning hand. I said to Wraith, okay, good work. I hung up, my eyes sparkling with amusement. What a coincidence. Orion wants to buy my final novel's copyright to create a blockbuster and propel Starlight Media forward. Too bad he will never get the chance, I whistled while packing the herbs into wooden boxes. Obsidian, Snow, and Jade wagged their tails helping out, used to the routine. I quickly finished packing. A gentle knock on the door and Alara's voice rang out. Sterling, are you in your room? Yes, I am. I put the wooden box away, told the 3 snakes to hide well, then opened the door. Alara's eyes lit up as she pulled my hand into the room. Sterling, the suit Mom ordered for you has arrived. Try it on and see if it fits. 2 staff members carefully brought the suit in, laid it neatly on the bed, and left. With Alara's enthusiastic help, I tried on the suit. It fit perfectly and looked incredibly sharp. Alara adjusted the details, stepping back to admire me as if looking at a treasure. Sterling, tomorrow night you will be the most outstanding prince. Everyone will know you are the true young master of the Vance family, she asked gently. Are you nervous? Looking at myself in the mirror, I smiled. No, this is a small matter. Alara didn't know I had traveled everywhere, attending countless banquets big and small. I had experienced events much grander than this welcome banquet. She admired me but worried. This banquet was suggested by Asher. Mom is afraid he and your second uncle and second aunt will try to make things difficult for you, causing you to lose face and ruining your reputation. I smiled. Mom, don't worry. Whatever they plot, I have a way to deal with it. I'll make them suffer the consequences of their own actions. Seeing me confident, Alara felt relieved but still reminded. All right, Mom trusts you. But remember, if you can't handle something, you have Mom and Dad. We are your backing. My heart felt warm and I smiled and nodded. Yes, I know. Looking at myself in the mirror, my eyes gleamed with interest. I wonder what Reginald's family, Beatrix and Asher, will do at the welcome banquet. This is going to be fun. That night, Gideon Astor called Lyra to the main hall as soon as she entered the Astor estate. Arriving at the main hall, Lyra saw Nia sitting next to Gideon, acting spoiled. Dad, you said you would stand up for me today. Gideon looked at Nia with deep affection. Don't worry, Dad won't let you suffer any grievances. Kaylin also smiled dotingly. Lyra's face darkened. As his biological daughter, she had never been loved, yet an adopted daughter was pampered like this. Seeing Lyra, Nia said, Dad, eldest sister is back. Gideon's smile vanished as he looked at Lyra. I called you because I received an invitation to the Vance family's welcome banquet tomorrow night. It turns out Asher is not the true young master. Do you want to marry the true young master of the Vance family, or cancel the engagement? Before Lyra could answer, Nia interjected. What a coincidence. Last month, eldest sister became a cripple, and this month the Vance family brings back their true young master, saying Asher is fake. Could it be they don't want to marry you, so they deliberately found a substitute? This method is truly outrageous. Nia spoke with a gloating look in her eyes. Lyra remained calm. Dad, there's no need to cancel the engagement. I am willing to marry the true young master of the Vance family. Gideon was surprised. Are you sure? Nia pretended to be shocked. Eldest sister, the true young master of the Vance family is a medicine seller from the countryside, not even close to Asher. Even if you are crippled, you don't have to marry him, right? Lyra smiled at Nia. Nia, you just looked down on the true young master of the Vance family and degraded me at the same time. Nia quickly acted wronged. Eldest sister, I didn't mean that. It's just that since you became a cripple, you've become too sensitive. Gideon pretended to be strict. Nia, eldest sister and I are talking. Why are you interrupting? Don't be disrespectful. Nia stuck out her tongue and said, yes, looking like she was being scolded, but Gideon was clearly protecting her. Have you really thought this through? Do you want to marry the true young master of the Vance family? Gideon asked again. Lyra withdrew her calm gaze. I am certain. Originally I was supposed to marry the young master of the Vance family. If Asher is not him, of course I won't marry him. Gideon glanced at Kaylin, a hard-to-notice smile flashing in his eyes, and nodded. All right, if you agree, tomorrow we will go to the true young master's welcome banquet to show our support. Kaylin smiled secretly. A cripple marrying a so-called true young master? Lyra is finished, Gideon suddenly remembered. Oh, Nia said yesterday she slipped her tongue a bit, and you had Assistant Bastien hit her. Is that true? Lyra froze, not expecting her father to bring this up. Yes. Then don't you think you should teach Nia some rules? Gideon was slightly dissatisfied. Nia is the miss of the Astor family after all, just because she said a few wrong words. Did you have to make a big deal out of it, and let Assistant Bastien teach her a lesson? Lyra laughed coldly. Dad, Nia is just an adopted daughter you took in because Kaylin isn't your biological son. Nia's face darkened, and Gideon's face looked terrible too. Even if she isn't my biological daughter, Nia grew up with Kaylin and has called me dad for years. I have already treated her like my daughter. You letting Assistant Bastien hit her was wrong. She's been sad for a long time. Apologize to her. As for Assistant Bastien daring to hit the miss of the Astor family, I am not at ease. Don't let him follow you anymore. Nia was smug. Eldest sister, just apologize sincerely, and I will forgive you. Bastien remained silent. Lyra looked at her father for a long time before reluctantly saying, Nia, come here. Nia happily stepped forward. Eldest sister must be sincere, otherwise I won't accept it. Suddenly, Bastien grabbed Nia's wrist without a word and slapped her hard. Nia was stunned and fell to the floor. Gideon's face was as black as the bottom of a pot. Lyra, what are you doing? Lyra said flatly. I hit her because she is an adopted daughter of the Astor family, yet she dares to tattle in front of you. She continued ordering. Bastien, continue. Another slap. Nia rolled over by Gideon's feet. I hit her because she dared to mock my crippled legs in front of you. Nia sobbed uncontrollably. Gideon was furious. Lyra, enough! Your legs are crippled and your temper is getting worse. You don't even listen to me anymore. Nia glared at Lyra as if she wanted to drill a hole through her. Lyra laughed coldly. Dad, don't forget the power you hold in the family is because I fought for it in front of Grandpa. Without me, you were nothing in the Astor family before. Gideon's face grew even uglier. Lyra continued. Dad thinks because my legs are crippled, I'm useless. You have power in the Astor family, and even without me, you have Kaylan to take over the miracles I created. Kaylan hurriedly said, Eldest sister, you misunderstood. How could Dad think that? Lyra spoke slowly. No matter what you think, as long as I am alive, whatever you have, I can destroy at any time. Dad, if there's nothing else, I'm leaving. Tonight I have an appointment to play chess with Grandpa. She glanced at Kaylan. Speaking of which, Kaylan has been back for 3 years and has never played chess with Grandpa, has he? Bastien pushed Lyra out of the main hall. Looking at the night sky, Lyra coldly told Bastien, find someone to investigate my father and confirm his relationship with Nia. Bastien was surprised. Investigate? Your father and Nia have a blood relationship? Lyra nodded. She thought to herself, my brother was supposedly sent away by Grandpa back then because of a fortune-teller's words. I'm afraid things aren't that simple. Nia held her bright red cheeks, sitting angrily on the sofa. Kaylan took an ice pack and personally applied it to his sister. Dad, did you see that? Lyra doesn't respect you at all now. She's a cripple, yet she's so arrogant just because Grandpa still values her. Gideon laughed coldly. Like she said, Kaylan has been back for 3 years, and Grandpa has never played chess with him. Everyone in the Astor family knows Grandpa loves playing chess the most. Inviting someone to play chess is a sign of his value and recognition. Kaylan was unresigned. Dad, don't worry. Grandpa will recognize me sooner or later. Even though he values Lyra now, he hasn't officially announced the heir, which shows he is wavering. Maybe he's still hoping Lyra's legs can be cured. Nia was worried. What if her legs really heal? Gideon's eyes were venomous. Even if they can be cured, I won't let her heal. All the doctors treating her were invited by me. If she really can be cured, I have my own ways to ensure her legs never heal. Nia, Dad is useless. Not only could I not get justice for you today, but I also let you suffer grievances. Gideon looked at his daughter with heartache. Nia softened her voice. Dad, it's fine if I suffer a little, but she doesn't respect you at all now. She even said your power is all thanks to her. Gideon clenched his fists. She is truly her mother's daughter. Her temperament is exactly the same. A person who despises me as a husband, a person who despises me as a father. Then don't blame me for being ruthless. I managed to kill that woman back then, and I can kill her daughter now. He seriously asked Kaylan, did you investigate the true young master of the Vance family? Kaylan replied, yes. The true young master is Sterling Vance, from a remote village, selling medicine. I heard he was despised by Reginald's family when he returned and wasn't acknowledged. Now he's registered under Alaric and Alara's names. Gideon breathed a sigh of relief. Good. As long as we confirm the true young master is useless. If Lyra marries him, her status in the family will definitely be affected. This is indeed an opportunity for us to consolidate our position. Clearly not wanting Asher to marry her, they randomly found a country bumpkin to deal with her. I don't know why she's still acting so arrogant. Nia snorted coldly. In another place, Lyra placed a black chess piece. Grandpa Astor looked up. Did your father tell you everything about the Vance family? Yes. Lyra focused on the chessboard. What do you plan to do? Still continue the marriage? I want to marry the true young master of the Vance family. Grandpa Astor stopped playing and said seriously, do you know what situation you are in? Your legs are crippled, many people are eyeing the heir position, and they are pressured to replace you. And you still dare to marry a Vance family young master who has nothing? Lyra was calm. Grandpa, let me ask you, besides me, who in the Astor family can make the family strong and stand firm in Kim City? Grandpa Astor snorted coldly. Quite confident, aren't you? Lyra placed another piece, smiling leisurely. So, I am also confident in my eye for choosing a husband. I only met the true young master of the Vance family once, but how long does it take? Once is enough, Grandpa Astor pondered. Back then, when we arranged for you and the famous Asher to marry, you didn't have any opinions. Now, with the true young master, you are so proactive. Having nearly died once, you've thought through many things, haven't you? Lyra smiled faintly. Life is short. Some things should follow the heart, and choose the person I like. I will also attend the welcome banquet tomorrow. I want to see what is so special about this true young master of the Vance family that made you choose him upon first sight. Thinking of my arrogant demeanor, Lyra smiled. Grandpa will definitely be very satisfied with your future grandson-in-law. Grandpa Astor looked at his granddaughter's expression and thought, this granddaughter is usually gentle and friendly, but rarely does anyone enter her heart. Before, with the arranged marriage to Asher, she just treated it as a regular mission. Now, her eyes hold expectations for her future life. The young man who made her fall in love like this is definitely not ordinary. For Lyra, it was difficult to get out of her private bathroom and push her wheelchair to the head of the bed. She intended to text me, but I had already texted her first. She smirked and replied immediately, if you remind me every day, I won't forget to take my medicine. At this time, I was sitting in front of the computer, having just sent a message to Lyra. I logged into my author account, Lily Evergreen, to handle the copyright of my final novel. As soon as I went online, I received a barrage of messages from fans and entertainment companies wanting to connect. Seeing a request from Starlight Media, I sneered and rejected it immediately. Opening a message from my editor, I typed, at the end of the month, organize a small meetup. Invite all the companies that want to buy the copyright of my final novel. I emphasized, the company directors must attend in person. I want to choose my partner myself. The corners of my mouth curled up. Orion was trying to do something big at Starlight Media. He definitely wouldn't pass up this opportunity. When he finds out the copyright for the novel is in my hands, his expression will be very interesting. Editor Lan quickly replied, only you get this kind of privilege. Your previous 3 works all blew up after adaptation. The final work is definitely worth more. Ah, are you writing a new novel? No plans to write for now. That's fine too. Masterpieces value quality over quantity. These 4 works are enough for you to live comfortably for a lifetime. I'll arrange the meetup soon. Wait for my news. After chatting, I turned off the computer, took my phone, and lay on the bed. Opening the message Lyra sent 10 minutes ago, need me to remind you every day? Her intentions weren't about the medicine. She clearly wanted me to talk to her every day. Lyra replied immediately. You guessed it right again, I teased. Before this, you really hadn't flirted with any guy? With my previous status, did I need to flirt myself? She replied quickly. Anyway, since I'm engaged to you, there's no need to flirt anymore. With you, I can talk until the ends of the earth, I joked. I suspect you're just trying to please me to heal your legs, like Orion said. He dared to say that. How about you bring him over tomorrow so he can say it again to my face? Reading the latest message, I burst out laughing. I chatted with Lyra until I fell asleep. Waking up in the morning, my phone had fallen next to my head. Last night, Jade had placed it on the bedside table. Seeing me awake, Jade immediately slithered up, grabbed the phone, and handed it to me. Good boy. I sat up, rubbed its head, and checked the phone. Lyra messaged. The welcome banquet is tonight. Let's start the treatment early. Looking at the clock, it was just past 8 a.m., I replied. 10 a.m., usual place. I fed the 3 snakes freeze-dried spiders, washed my face, and went downstairs for breakfast. Asking Martha, I found out my new parents had gone early to inspect the banquet venue, afraid of any mishaps tonight. Is the young master going out today? Martha asked. The madam told me to have you take 2 bodyguards just in case. Okay, I know. I nodded and calmly ate breakfast. I suddenly remembered and called Orion. At this time, Orion had stayed up all night. The pain in his right leg constantly reminded him that he was crippled. He didn't know how to face the future in his family. A knock on the door. Asher called from outside, Big brother, are you awake? Orion stayed silent, not ready to explain his crippled leg. Big brother, Dad told me to ask if you're not going to the company today? Orion looked at the dozen missed calls from his assistant on his phone, his mood even heavier. The door was quiet. Orion curled up in pain, then his phone rang again. Annoyed, he wanted to hang up, but seeing my name on the screen, he paused. He didn't dare hang up my call. After a long wait, he answered. Come find me later and take a trip with me. Lyra wants to confront you. My gentle voice came from the other end. Confront me about what? Didn't you say she was treating you well because she needed you? I thought I could cure her leg? Orion gritted his teeth, staying silent for a moment to maintain his composure. Why did you tell her? Is there a problem? I'm just a link in your and her plan anyway. How can this guy's words be so infuriating? Orion took a deep breath. I understand. 10 minutes later, Asher saw Orion limping downstairs and quickly expressed concern. Big brother, is your leg feeling better? Beatrix also worried. Orion, tell Mom, what happened to your leg? Did that brat Sterling do this? Mom, don't ask, Orion coldly interrupted. I'll tell you when it's time. Don't bother me right now, okay? Beatrix quickly nodded. Okay, Mom won't ask. Asher knew Orion's temper and didn't dare provoke him. Seeing him leave without breakfast, Beatrix quickly asked, Orion, are you going to the company without eating breakfast? No need. Orion didn't look back, limping away. Beatrix worriedly told Asher, Asher, find your big brother today and ask what happened to his leg. He's always loved you the most. He'll definitely tell you. Yes, Mom, Asher nodded, but thought, asking now would just make him angrier, wouldn't it? Orion struggled to reach the front of the East Villa and called me. I'm here, waiting outside. Wait as long as you have to. Do you really need me to give you a specific time? Orion gritted his teeth. I understand. He stood under the shade of a tree, waiting for half an hour before seeing me leisurely stroll out. Sterling, are you deliberately humiliating me? Orion clenched his fists, suppressing his anger. Looking at his humiliated expression, I sneered. Really? You can't even handle this little bit of grievance, Orion? In the past, you people naturally told me I should be magnanimous and not hold a grudge over Asher being switched, but because I was switched, I suffered so much out there. This somewhat softened Orion's anger, thinking about how I wandered outside and suffered. If I had been in the Vance family, I surely wouldn't have gone through that. It's true that Asher's mother secretly switched you guys, but Asher was young then, he's innocent. He spoke dryly. How boring, I picked my ear. You people always just say that. If his mother hadn't intentionally switched him, of course he'd be innocent. But that was something his mother schemed for him. You still say he's innocent? Well then, there are too many innocent people in this world. Children of human traffickers are also innocent because the traffickers kidnap children just to make dirty money to provide a good life for their own kids. Also, the night before I returned to the Vance family, your innocent little brother hired someone to try and kill me. That's impossible? You can investigate it yourself. Orion froze, his clenched fists slowly relaxing. You constantly humiliate me just to make me taste the grievances you suffered, right? Exactly. There is no true empathy in this world. If you want people who speak without their backs hurting to understand, they have to experience it themselves. I laughed loudly, a radiant smile that made Orion feel a hint of malice. Keep a steady mindset, the game is just beginning. Later, when your entire family loses everything and goes bankrupt, you'll probably collapse even harder. I swaggered toward the Vance family garage. Orion watched my back, his eyes no longer filled with disdain or resentment, but a rare complexity. But he still didn't believe Asher would dare hire someone to kill me. Asher returned to his room to prepare to head to Starlight Media. He accidentally saw Orion following me out the window. He was shocked, rushing to the bed and gripping the windowsill tightly. Didn't Orion go to the company? Why is he looking for Sterling? Could he have been persuaded by Sterling to take his side? Thinking of this, Asher felt a surge of crisis. He stayed in the Vance family thanks to his value to his adoptive father, serving as Beatrix's bragging rights, and the unconditional pampering from Orion and Serafina. If he lost Orion's pampering, it would be hard for him to survive in the Vance family. He absolutely could not let this happen. Tonight at the welcome banquet, he had to do something.